What's up? What's up? Hey, you're muted. I can't hear you. Um, there we go. We're back.
Because I've been muted this whole fucking time.
Yeah, I tried to.
I don't even smoke weed. What is happening? I bet you that is why I got a phone call to tell me that I'm muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a text from you. I'm muted.
It's all
Hi,
good.
everybody. I'm Jessica. This is not your safe zone. I didn't get enough sleep this week, so I'm having a horrible ADHD moment. Tonight we are discussing toxicity, and here to join us tonight is my man Eddie Brock. How you doing tonight?
What's up with it, man? Hold on like a hubcap in the fast lane, maintain it. So I'm here for it. Let's get into it and get the people some good content.
All right. And here we're bringing back DA Select. Lloyd, how you doing tonight? You're muted.
Muted.
We
can't hear you.
I said, I'm doing all right. You know, me just always doing what I do. I'm always reading. So I'm reading right now, Some Blood in My Eye, talking about George Jackson's book that was actually published after he actually was assassinated while in prison in San Quentin. But other than that, I'm just ready to do this.
Yes. Let's get into it. We were having an amazing discussion backstage, and we're like, we got to go live to continue this conversation. Next up, we have Jessie Lee. How you doing tonight, babe?
I'm doing well. Hello, I'm Jessie Lee, 93. How you doing? I'm a crocheter, and I'm just, almost done with my full transformation into an octopus. Yay. But yeah, I'm so glad to be a part of this platform, and I'm so glad to be a part of this conversation. So yay, let's do it.
Thank you so much for joining us. And last but definitely not least, we have the Queen Mother in the house, Miss Day Woo. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, y'all. I'm doing good. Just hanging in, waiting patiently to get this conversation cracking.
Yes, let's get into it. So first, I want to start off with introductions, especially Jessie and Daewoo, since this is your first time being on here. So I want to go around and y'all tell me who you are, what you do, and then give me your favorite comfort food, because I'm gonna need some after this damn live. I already done fucked up. Who want to go first?
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead. Oh no. Are we having technical difficulties?
Yeah.
I think.
I'm here.
Yep, you froze. Okay, you're back. Go ahead.
In my real life, I'm a counselor. So I work really, really close in the mental health field. So toxicity, it's a very, very good conversation for me. I do work with a lot of alcohol, drug abuse, and then a lot of, how can I say that? A lot of people that have true deep down mental issues. I mean, DSM mental issues. Mother, wife, motorcycle rider. What else? It's about grandmother, great grandmother, all those things. But
not a great grandmother.
Yeah. All in all, I'm just.
I don't believe you. We gotta see the birth certificate. I don't believe you.
All in all,
what about
I just entered my 6th decade, and life is great. Life is great. I cannot.
Look, I still don't believe you about that. Even though I was there on live celebrating your birthday with you, I still don't believe you that you're 60. I don't. So what is your favorite comfort food?
My favorite comfort food would.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, bad connection.
Oh no.
I think she said gumbo.
You said gumbo?
Coffee étouffée.
Étouffée.
Oh, étouffée.
Crawfish ain't too fake. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi. I don't know why it's tripping.
I don't know. It's all right though. It's all right though. We'll figure it out. My friend actually my best friend lives down in Louisiana, and she coming up here later this year, and I told her she got to make gumbo, she got to make etouffee, she got to make all the shit that they don't know how to make up here in the Midwest. Like,
that is so true about the Midwest. Oh my gosh,
we can't cook shit. Okay,
I was stationed in Kansas, and they didn't have no good food, man. I was just like, damn.
Try going on it.
I'm in St. Louis, and I mean, they say our barbecue is good, but actually, it's the KC barbecue that's the best. That's St. Louis has its own staples, like gooey butter cake.
Ooh, it's good.
Ooh, shit's fire.
Yeah.
But the barbecue in KC, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, V, I'm making you cook. Get over it. All right, who want to go next? Introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what is your favorite comfort food? Hi, Jesse.
Me, I want to go. Okay, so hi everybody. I'm Jessie Lee. So my profession is I'm a nanny. All of my jobs have always been with children. I started working originally in Montessori education, fresh out of high school, and I worked there for 3 years. And then I worked at another preschool and another preschool and another preschool. And then I said, okay, I'm done with preschools, and I just want to do more one-on-one work. So I've been a nanny for the past 3 years. And so working with children, there's a lot of toxicity when it comes to the education and when it comes to even parent and teacher relations, and also understanding child development and the plus sides, and also some of the negative sides that can happen with and without parent involvement. So I do know a lot about that. I'm also a burner. I go to Burning Man and Burning Man regionals all around the country. And so that's, to sum it up quickly, it's people who build an entire city and a community, and to see if we can be self-sufficient for that allotted amount of time. So 80,000 people will go to the desert, build an entire city, and we'll see if we can survive basically the entire time. And to see if you can create this world, this environment, this community, and bring back the values and the teachings and all of those things to the default world, which is what we're in now. And so it's honestly one of the biggest art projects and the biggest challenges of life, to see if you can be sustainable in this way and if you can bring it back to the default world. And there is a lot of toxicity in that too. So perfect. And what else about me? I sing, I dance, I kind of dance, not really. Lloyd knows about dancing I can't do. But yeah, that's me. And favorite comfort food. I have too many. My mac and cheese that I make. I finally learned how to make it like Black people make it. Sorry, I'm adopted, white parents. I finally learned how to do it right, and it's fire, and I'm proud of myself. I'm very proud. And because I'm vegetarian, I don't eat meat, but Impossible meat. I learned how to make Impossible Swedish meatballs and a creamy, savory sauce. And I mean, that is the most amazing thing ever. So Impossible Swedish meatballs, and my finally Black mac and cheese.
Not just mac and cheese, it's Black mac and cheese. But hold on. I know who look. Don't hurt my feelings on my own damn live. Don't do that. All right, Eddie, Lloyd, do one of y'all want to introduce yourselves? Give us your favorite comfort food.
Man, well, Eddie Brock. I'm the Godzilla of TikTok. I'm just a retired non-commissioned officer who found his niche on TikTok. Writing rhymes. Dr. Fingers and I still got an album out. If you haven't checked King of the Monsters, you want some real organic hip hop, go get the album. Find me on Google, Play, Apple, iTunes. Type in Eddie Brock with 2 C's. My comfort food. I don't know, man. Something that I would eat that just chill me. I like candy, so some of the candies that you could give me that can completely diffuse an impending ass whooping would be an almond joy. If you were to get me an almond joy or a Kit Kat, if you could be like, man, here's a Kit Kat or an almond joy, that would buy you some time to renegotiate certain situations. So yeah.
But why are they the least fun candies in existence?
I don't know. I think it.
An almond joy?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I can't hear you. I hear you ready.
I had almond joys today. So what are you talking about? I love them.
Almond joy. Ooh.
Yeah, man. Almond joy.
Is that?
Yeah.
Is that an
it's weird. I've had this thing. I've appreciated almond joys ever since I was a kid.
Team Milky Way.
Is that how you know you're getting to the geriatric stage of your life? You start enjoying things like almond joy. Look, no, I'm a millennial. I'm gonna take the shots where I can get them.
Well, I grew up, with my father in the house periodically when he wasn't doing his own thing, but my dad was there when he was there. But I grew up with my mom, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother. So I had like 2 older women in the house. This is why I wake up 0:30 in the morning, because they always say if you wake up early in the morning, the birds will tell you what happened last night. So I be up, have my coffee. I watch the news, you know what I mean? I eat shredded wheat, like Raisin Bran, you know what I'm saying? I eat the, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I'm still fit and young, man. At a young age, I was slamming down shredded wheat. So I always had the old school shit. Yeah, man.
Like, been old since the age of 5.
Yeah, pretty much, man. That's why, I can't eat Captain Crunch. I fucked around one day, man, and I had 2 bowls of peanut butter Captain Crunch. And I was on the toilet damn near all day. I realized that I'm not built for this shit. I'm like, I shredded wheat, Raisin Bran, Honey Nut Cheerios, and Frosted Flakes. I'm old school, man. You know what I mean? So my comfort food involves just being around the nostalgic of the comforting time. Because when I was that age, it was just a comfort. Like everything comforted me. But when it came to candy, it was almond joy, man.
I respect it, but it still makes me want to cry.
Hey, man, cry.
But
man.
I respect it. I respect it.
Your eyes got to sweat every once in a while. You feel me?
Look, for real. All right, Lloyd, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell me your favorite comfort food.
Well, y'all know me, Mr. Higher Education TikTok. Don't know when I started liking history, but it was very early. I was always a history and math person. And then I think it was at one point I actually started learning Black history when I joined the ASU when I was in high school, and from there I just love Black history. If y'all don't know, I'm on my 2nd marriage. I have 8 children between both marriages. Let me see. I worked for 4 of them. I didn't work for the other ones. All right, so I did adopt my wife's other 4 children. It was great. I'll tell you this now. When it comes to comfort food for me, there's symbolic things to it. Reason why is my comfort food is always going to be like seafood. And when I say seafood, like crab legs, lobster tail, stuff like that. Reason why it's a comfort food, and hear me out, it's a comfort food because there's a time when I could not afford it. And so so it makes me comfortable, the fact that and it's not boasting, it's the fact that when I do eat like that, and I just feel good. Like I made it to a place that I couldn't afford as a kid. Same thing with cheesecake. My mom would put 1 cheesecake in the refrigerator, and when she goes to sleep, I'd take small little bites out of it, hoping that she wouldn't even know. And so, because she didn't bring it for everybody. So, and I understood, my mom had that stuff that was just for her. And I always snuck into whatever was just for my mom, because I wanted to find out what was this finer thing that she brought into the house that all of us couldn't have. We were still cutting the bologna, uneven, and the cheese and trying to melt it. So, so growing up in that way, being able to just, and like I said, it's not being bougie in no way, but sometimes when I go out and have an expensive meal, it just brings me comfort. So sometimes it's just expensive meals that bring me comfort. There's no real meal that just has me on a rainy day sitting up eating. It's really my comfort meals is really attached to, and I hate to say it, it's the price of the meal. it makes me say, I can't believe I'm actually in a place where I can afford something that I just used to sit and watch people eat and wonder how it tastes.
It makes you feel safe because you know you're not struggling anymore.
Well, next time you come down to Houston, man, you gonna take me to Fogo de Chao.
I was there the other day. I was there the other day.
And we can rack up a bill so you can feel some comfort because I can put the.
Like, I want comfort too.
Hey, let's like this. Hey, when we go to Fogo de Chao here, hey, they know us, Eddie. When me and my wife comes in, all the servers look at us. The what's name looks at us. We'll literally sit down. They'll literally come to our table and they'll say, "We know what you want. It's on the way." They look at my wife. She says, "Yes, well done."
So you do the full experience the whole time?
Yes, the full experience all the time. And they know all me and my wife want is lamb chops. They'll run every single meat by us, and we're sitting there like just like this. No. They literally bring.
Have anyone been to Fogo de Chao?
Huh?
You been to Fogo? Have anyone been to Fogo de Chao?
I've never heard of it.
Oh, let me tell you something. That just shameless plug, right quick. Shameless plug. Wow. You walk into this place and you sit down, and they can feed you. Like they just come with like, would you like some filet mignon? And I'm like, what is that? And they're like filet mignon. I'm like, word, cut it, boom. Like all these meats, and you can get up and get salads, and you can get mimosa, and you have a card and you flip it over. Like if the card is green, they'll come and bring you all these meats. If you turn it over red, you know what I'm saying, they'll pass you up. But they come with the skewers and they cut it, like put your plate up and they'll cut it down. You know what I mean? What you like, the light or the dark, or, you know, well done or, you know, kind of blue. You know what I mean?
I would fight for that green card.
If you can go to folk, and they have the bacon that is draped in, look, Lloyd, no, like I be with brown sugar, like crispy bacon with brown sugar, the best experience. Look, I know Jess, you like, oh my God,
I'm sitting there like,
no.
Black August, we're going, right?
No, but listen, but Jess, you would love the salad bar.
The salad bar,
okay.
Yeah.
Yay!
Look.
Yeah, there you go.
Stop. Hold on.
Look, put it this way.
Hold on.
It is a upscale Brazilian steakhouse. It's upscale, like regular experience. Like you can have the full experience or the regular experience. You're not leaving that place not spending under like $150.
Hold on though. I know y'all only see up here, but understand, believe that from here down is a whole fat bitch. Do I look like I be going anywhere for a motherfucking salad bar?
No, but it's a state of the art salad bar.
Yeah.
I don't eat that.
Okay, so look, if you've been around,
for me, Jess, this is for me. I'm the vegetarian. I'm
going.
I'll be
sitting in the elbow and Eddie in the jaws for a lamb chop.
I've been around my fair share of rich white folks. And rich white folks, for some odd reason, when it comes to food, there's something they're particular about. And I've been around them long enough to assess its position as being upscale and fancy. It's the fucking cheese. The dirtier, Jess, you know, the dirtier looking the cheese, the more expensive. With that being said, Fogo de Chao, it ain't none of that shit that you see in the house. Is that what the fuck kind of cheese is that? Oh, it's the so and so. And you like, yeah, that bitch gonna stay right there. But you can tell by the cheese is very upscale, but it's a wonderful experience. If you can get to a Fogo de Chao or anything, it's a wonderful experience. You're gonna leave, put it this way, the itis gonna be on your shit by the time you bounce. The itis is gonna be like, you know what you gotta do when you get home, right? Because you got they give them the most. You're gonna go home and you're gonna go into this coma right quick.
Well, the thing is, Eddie, in San Antonio, there's 5 different restaurants that are like that. There's Fogo de Chao, Texas de Brazil, Chamagawa, there's one called one that we had to go check out because I wanted to see them all. Yeah, one called if y'all look at, there's a video that me and my wife did. We're walking into this restaurant. We went there. It's called Brano's or something like that. So we tried all of them here in San Antonio just to make sure I can say I've been to all the Brazilian steakhouse. But back to what I was saying, that's my comfort food. My comfort food is expensive food because of the reason why. I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to be bougie. Trust me, we ate pizza tonight. But I'm just, I'm just saying. But that's my comfort food.
Look, okay. I'm Jessica. I'm a mom. I'm an activist. I am also a TikTok creator and obviously a YouTuber. My comfort food is driving my ass down to wherever the hell Lloyd is in Texas and making him take me to go have one of his comfort foods. Cause the bitch is broke, okay? I ain't heard none of them things that he done said. Anyway. Look.
Ooh. Oh, I'm going.
I'm all happy and I'm just like.
No, but the best thing about it, if Jesse Lee, if you go, seriously, it's only $15 for you.
Woo-hoo! I'm going. All right.
If you go at lunchtime, it's $35 a person. If you go at dinner time, it's $55 a person. So that's the difference.
My carnivorous ass is jealous. They not trying to let me be great. So let's go ahead and let's get into the conversation. Earlier, we were talking about groomers. And we were talking about how the mentality of it being okay for an older man to be with a teenager, essentially, or a much younger woman is different than for an older woman to be with a teenager or a young man, a much younger man. Eddie was actually hitting a good point earlier. Eddie, do you want to go ahead and restate that point for everybody watching?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was you or Jess that I was talking to, but it was okay under the vice of you being uneducated to being indoctrinated to what it was. Like, we're always told, when you're in high school, you're close to being an adult. You're gonna be grown. You have to. So junior high school, you halfway an adult, or you think you are, and you start conducting yourself and thinking what it is to be an adult. And one of the things that's easily associated with being an adult is what? Exactly. So you think you're grown and you can be in this pool with older guys because you think you're grown, but it's not until like, that shit's not cool. And here's the thing, where it becomes the problem as a whole is because this grown ass dude, I don't know if we can cuss on here, this grown ass dude knows better.
Cuss
you don't know no better. The adult, the guy who's like 25, nah, I can't. I can't, Yes, I got Pee-wee's Playhouse. The guy knows. So the adult of the situation should be like, no. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, this is where the grooming aspect comes in, because the same guys who aren't saying, no, this is wrong, are actually going to bring them on in. And I've seen it firsthand. And it's a sad situation because most women, most little girls, young ladies, I should say, they end up getting with problematic dudes who don't like no for an answer, have a lot of pent up issues, and you start seeing a lot of statistics, and it's sad, So that's all I got. But yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut the last bit of you off there. My thumbs are fat. And I know that Lloyd also has something to say in regards to that as well. Lloyd, you want to go ahead and reiterate what you were saying?
Well, what I was saying is when I was in high school, I used to get mad because a lot of the girls always dated. They wanted to date all the guys who had already graduated, who had already been in college or already out working. And I don't know if it was because they had money to take them out, they had cars to come pick them up. Because coming up in high school, unlike my children, I didn't have a car. And so a lot of times you've seen a lot of girls talking about, oh my God, such and such is coming, or this person's coming. Why? Because they had a car, they were coming back from whatever job they had, whatever they were doing, and they were still coming, and we used to always say like this, why are they coming after our women? I said, why don't they go after women that graduated with them? Why are they going after the women that, supposed to be for us our age? And so to me, it was like, and you've seen a lot of the younger women actually gravitate toward that. Like, they were like, whoa, I'm with an older man, and they were happy to be with an older man and this and that. So here you go. You had these younger women who wanted to be with older men. And now remember, these guys are like 21. You're talking about 21 to 17. At face value, it looks, hey, that's only 4 years. But what happens is people start pushing that gap. And what I mean by pushing that gap is that same 21-year-old who had that 17-year-old and says, hey, I got this young woman, they're immature, I can do this. What happens is they still push that same gap when they get 28. They think they're still 21 and still want to go mess with that 17-year-old girl. And from the time you're 21, you never matured. Don't know why they didn't mature, but they never matured, but they still seen it okay because they allowed a 17-year-old to make that decision for them when they were 21. They're still allowing that 17-year-old to make that same decision and said they want to date an older man. And so, yeah, now it's wrong. And vice versa. We all understand that when there's older women, younger men thought that to be with an older woman was like cool points. Like, yo, if I get with me a 24-year-old, like, when you're 18, 19 playing football and such and such, someone holler at you, this and that, you be like, man, who is she? Who is she? You going out with your friends and she talking about, oh, I'm this age. You always, for men, especially when you're my age, you're thinking that it's a badge of honor to get with an older woman. Oh man, I'm about to get with this older woman. She like 20. So now you have 18 and 19-year-old guys, and then there's 33, 34-year-old women who have money who are going to buy them the new Jordans or buy them the new toy, because remember, they're only 18, so they still like the toys, they like the video games. And so now have a 34-year-old woman who thinks she's Stella that got her groove back, is messing with this 18-year-old boy, and they don't think it's wrong because, oh, he's a man, and then the boy child is like, yeah, man, I got this woman. Next, you know what happens when this 33-year-old gets pregnant, and now this 8-year-old boy is stuck being a father. That's all I was saying. And to go back with the topic, all of that contributes to the toxic thinking that people have as they're growing up, because society never stopped it. Teachers never told the girls in our school it's not good to be messing with them guys that already graduated or gone. In fact, heck, we had a teacher in our school. In fact, we had 3 teachers in our school that was messing with young boys on the football team. Just saying. When you have that going on in your classes, and Miss Stacy's gonna give you an A if you stay after class for a little bit, to make your A. Most guys are doing it. They come brag about it in the locker room. Yeah, I was in Miss Stacy's class. I had to stay back for a little bit to make sure I could play in next week's game. That's just how it was. All right, go ahead.
It's the fact that predatory behavior is fetishized when it comes to young men. Young men should celebrate being groomed and approached by a woman of authority, a older woman, and that is a big problem. I believe we talked about this on episode 1. It's fact that
statutory rape, that's what it's called.
Exactly. It's still rape, it's still grooming, it's still wrong, it's still illegal. And yet we're telling our sons that they should be proud of it, that they should celebrate it. Daewoo, what's your thought on this whole thing?
I'm for people dating whomever they want to date, as long as that person is legal. Funny thing is that my grandson is 24, and he just told me he was out in the club and he met this lady, and it just so happens that my nephew was in the club and introduced him to his girlfriend. Coming to find out, it was the girlfriend's mom that my grandson wound up talking to that night, which from that perspective, yeah, you got somebody that is 20 years old, 19 years old, and their mom is trying to holler at my 24-year-old grandson. So yeah, I got a whole nother issue with that. But I hear what Lloyd is saying about the predatory behavior in school. I just think it's just all around. Look, if you're not 18, Don't do it. But I've lived longer. You know, I've seen people in trouble um, for hanging out or being with or sexually being with someone that is older, or someone taking advantage of someone that is younger. And right now, these times that we're living in, it's crazy. It's really crazy. You know, when we went on lockdown with COVID, everything became online. So we got more familiar with how the online behavior and grooming is happening on a day-to-day basis. So, and then I work with, you know, not at my job, but in my personal life, I work with young women that have been groomed and turned out and put on the track. So, yeah, I'm not down with the whole you're 17 or you're 16 and you're dating a 22 or 23-year-old. Um, I understand that women mature faster than men, but at the end of the day, I think that you need to be with somebody that you can be compatible with.
Absolutely. Jesse, you have a unique experience to this. You're very open about your experience as well. Do you want to go ahead and give us your insight?
Sure, I will. So let me just backtrack a little bit and touch on what y'all were saying. This entire conversation reminded me of that quote from that movie Dazed and Confused by Wooderson, when he says, "All right, all right, all right." No, that's I'm reading it. He's like, "That's what I love about these high school girls, man. I get older, they stay the same age." That right there is just that movie, that quote right there was a driving force. And so many of us quote that and we don't realize the impact of just that quote. And for me in high school, I was 17. I had a car at 16. I had the freedom to go and, drive and do whatever I want. But one of the big things that impacted my group of girlfriends was online dating profiles, so Plenty of Fish and Tagged. And then that one that Facebook came out with, what was it called? Zoosk, I think it was called. This is old, like Zoosk. And My Yearbook. So a lot of these things started showing up and all of us were getting on these things. And it became kind of like a competition between like me and my girlfriends and then the other girls of who got hollered at the most and how old they were. And it was like a big deal if you got with somebody who was over the age of 20, who was 20 or above. And so Jesse, being the open, promiscuous person that I was at that time, I was just coming into being viewed by men. And I was like all about it. I was like, oh my God, you find me attractive? Yay. And so I dove into it. So there were definitely times, I was 17, he was 25. We hooked up in a hotel. It was gross. But like, it was gross because why I say it was gross is because this guy knew I was 17. He knew I was 17. I even told him, I said, look, dude, I mean, I want to get down, but I know you're 25. And he's just like, I don't care. So it was an understanding of, hey, we know this is wrong, but we both went into it. And for me at that time, I was just starting into my sexual journey through years and years and years. Yeah, I'm an ethical slut, everyone. Thank you. So thank you.
I'm right there with you, sis.
Own it, girl. Own it.
I do. And so, we both knew it was wrong, but and that became a thing. And I look back now and I'm just like, man, Jesse, what were you doing? What were you doing? And part of it was selfish, duh. Part of it was ego. A lot of it was ego because I was young, hot, and I was like, woohoo, yay, men want me, women want me, everybody wants me, yay. And so there's a lot of that, but it's just disgusting. And I remember actually this entire conversation reminded me of something. I was in high school hanging out with my friends, group of theater kids. We were theater kids. And one of my theater friends said that she would be okay as a mother if her 12-year-old daughter wanted to have sex with a 20-year-old. And I looked at her and I said, 12? and here I am at 17 having sex with a 25-year-old, and I look at her and I'm like, 12? What the fuck is your... They're like, will it be in my house? And it would be... And I'm just like, no, you're fucking insane. And I'm just like, I know what I was like at 12. There's no fucking way my mind would have even been able to comprehend sex or anything. Even at 17, there was no way for my mind to comprehend sex and what actually goes into the action of intimacy, and that there's actually levels. It's more than just penis into vagina or however you have sex, which depending on your orientation or what your kink is, you know, there's so much more. It was such a broad, was one of the biggest things that just blew my mind, and how I never held up the mirror to myself. Because like Lloyd said, and Eddie have said, when you're 17, going on 18, you think you're grown. You think you're old enough to be able to handle these decisions, and you're not. And it's crazy. Now, to go forward to talk about Jesse for real, is I'm in an age gap relationship. I've been in one for the past 7 years. I met him when I was 20. It was funny. I was blindfolded. I was with another guy, and he was leading me. I was with my other boyfriend. He was leading me into a camp blindfolded, and I was pretending to grab balls, and I ended up grabbing a handful of balls, and it wasn't my boyfriend. It happens to be my boyfriend who I'm dating now. Yeah. Okay. So that's how we met. I grabbed his balls. A year later, we're dating. So anyway, but he and I spent an entire year getting to know each other, and we had talked all the time and talked specifically about, 18 years senior. And I was coming from the standpoint for the first time of being like, are you only wanting to be with me because I'm young, because I'm hot? Is it because I'm black? Because we're interracial too. And I'm like, is this like a fantasy of yours? Is this a fetish? And I got so lucky, because it's none of those things. He actually loves me, all of me, for me, sees me. It's a bonus that I'm hot. And I'm like, yay! Like, this is great. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with this. I think I'm just spilling all my secrets, but okay.
Hey, let me add something. I'm 7 years older than my wife. And I didn't look at it as a big deal. I mean, she's, I'm 7 years older than her. The only time it gets creepy is when, it's like, well, when this movie came out, and I'm like, fuck. Like, when I was 14, you was fucking 7. You know what I'm saying? Like that, when I think about it, I'm like, God. But we hooked up. She was like, been together 7 years. Shit, I was 37, I think. Been together 7. I can't. I'm high. I don't remember when we hooked up, but 7 years. I'm 44. She's 35 or something like that. But my point is this: age wasn't really a factor. It was the maturity level. You know what I'm saying? And I think when you get into that level, like 25-year-old with a 17-year-old. Both are still young in the sense, you know what I'm saying? Growing, maturing, understanding. Once you get close to and or bust 30, that's when you're like, okay, now, you can start gauging your maturity level. And in my case, when we hooked up, it was, okay, she 30, because we was in the Army, stationed together. So it was like, okay, I know a lot of 30-year-old chicks on some old bullshit, but unfortunately, she don't even fuck around. Like, my wife, everyone thinks she's an asshole. Like, everyone thinks she's a bitch. So that was a bonus for me, because her head was on straight. She wasn't with the games, and yeah. But it sometimes I forget. Like, 7-year gap, and she was just like, that means you're gonna die before me, and I'm like, yeah, well. I love you too. You know what I mean? Like,
that means you're gonna die before me.
That's how we look at it. Shit. That means you're gonna die.
Oh.
You got life insurance. You kick the can. Oh well. I'll see you in 7 years possibly. I don't know. So yeah, man.
But Eddie, and that's great. For me, I think you got to start seeing toxicity brew. Toxicity is not just something that you wake up to and you're in a toxic relationship. You got to start seeing it brewing. So my thing is, I was before my wife. Now I was in an age gap relationship. I was 33, and my son's mother was 23, 10 years, and just so happened that she got pregnant. That's how I had my son before I met my wife. So when Aiden was born, and this is where it hit me, I was playing with him, and I was like, and I was singing an old school song. I was like doing the but and I had him had him right here, and I was messing with my son, right? And she laughed, and she goes, that's so cute. You just made that up. I was like, everything stopped. And I was like, and something hit me like, she's too young. Although we had a child together, she was 23, I was 33. There's a 10-year difference. It was just in me. It was like, I could see it brewing already. If I head into this relationship, it's not going to be healthy because we missed each other on so many. We weren't like Jessie Lee and her man where they met on a different level. There was such a big maturity level between me and her that it scared me half to death. And I was like, I can't move into this situation. One, and it's funny, my wife even says it now. She says, man, you missed your chance. You could have trained her. But the idea, I could have. You see what I'm saying? And that is where you must understand that toxic relationships come from, because someone wants to train somebody. And when that person wants to find their own identity, that's when things happen. The one that wants to train you says, no, you're supposed to be this. This other person says, I want my new identity. And that is when that person starts to say, or they start the verbal abuse. They start the abuse of finances. All those things happen. And so, for me, I don't think I've been that person, but just the fact that we missed each other at a simple song with me. I would watch Fred Sanford. She would laugh and say, I've never seen this before. Huh? Never seen Fred Sanford? Like, for real? And so for me, it was just, we missed on so many different levels that I was just like, now, don't get me wrong, she's a great mother to our son. I couldn't ask for a better mother to our son. My son is so respectful, speaks 2 different languages. Y'all see when I went to go see him, how he was in the backseat waving. Awesome young kid, love him. She does an outstanding job, with him, and so I'll always, be in debt to her for that, for just being an understanding person. We don't have a toxic relationship, with my wife. Like when me and Liz go down there, Liz will say hello to her. She'll say hi. She's already moved on, has another child, but we do the parent thing, and I embrace that. My son will call my wife, oh, that's my other mom. Or when he comes and says that Carlos, who she dates, is his other dad, I welcome that, because he's that father when I'm not there. It's not, don't have my son around any man. No, I trust her to have my son around a man that he can look up to, even though he references me as his dad. He says, you're my dad, but he sits there and says, hey, Carlos is my stepdad. And I'm glad that, and so when I see Carlos, I'm like, I don't speak Spanish, but I'd be like, hola, he'd be like, hello, because I'm happy that he's in my son's life to give him a male figure every day he wakes up and goes to bed. So, that's my little thing about toxic in that part. I'm sorry. I know I went long.
And I think that, no, you're good. You're good. Because I think you touched on something that, that a lot of people don't understand, is that even if you can be 23 and be mature, but you can also be 33 and not have any emotional intelligence. I think what we keep missing is we think age equals maturity. And look, you gonna stop with this Calypso gate on my platform, Lloyd. But I think what we need to understand is me being 31, I could have the same emotional intelligence as Eddie, as Lloyd, as Daewoo. Or Daewoo, Lloyd, Eddie, and I'm only picking y'all on y'all because y'all are the older ones in this conversation. Sorry, not sorry.
I'm the baby. I know. I'm the baby.
I know you the baby. Could be as emotionally intelligent as someone who is just coming out of high school or someone who's still in middle school. And that I remember, Daewoo, you said earlier that yes, he's rubbing in the clipsos and he's using my platform to do it, and I'm pretty salty about it. Daewoo had mentioned that girls mature faster than boys. And I think while that may scientifically be true, I feel like that notion has been used for centuries to justify grooming, to justify predatory behavior. And that's why we see an older man with a younger woman and we don't think twice. Was anybody up in arms with Hugh Hefner? Come on now. He was like 80 years old with women who were younger than me. Had them all living in one house. They all had a set of rules. He was grooming those girls. But did we bat an eye? Absolutely not. Everybody wanted to be a Playboy bunny. And if you didn't want to be a Playboy bunny, you sure as hell wanted to be with one.
I don't know, Jess. I don't know if that is, quote unquote, the mind, scientifically women mature, young ladies mature faster, or is it just society has accepted that an older man and a younger woman is okay? And to each his own, by all means. However, we have to think on a realm that is, if I am my age and some 30-year-old comes to me, what can I offer this 30-year-old and what can this 30-year-old offer me? It's looked at, we have that name of cougar if we do it. Men don't have a name, or if they do, I don't know it. So society has accepted men being with younger women, but we're in a different category. And personally, I don't understand what someone that much younger than me has to offer me at this age in my life, but
and that's exactly
we
what I
have,
mean by emotional maturity,
right,
emotional
we
intelligence.
have a society right now that is, aside from relationships, intimate relationships, we have to know that we have toxic relationships within our households, with our family, with our mothers and our fathers. So that's where it all starts for me. Um, I think if we don't have healthy boundaries or healthy appetites for understanding life, or yeah, we're going to be uh, have a weak ass, whatever, to take the stop. We're going to send our kids out not prepared for the world. I always tell every young person, you go to bed 17, you wake up 18. Not a damn thing changed up here. Nothing. Just because you're able to vote and all this, nothing changed up here when you went to bed 17 and woke up 18.
Can you just say that one more time? Because I know there is somebody sleeping in the fucking back, wiping the crust out their motherfucking eye, and they did not hear you correctly. Can you say that one more time, please,
The
Queen?
fact of fiction, you go to bed 17 and you wake up 18 and nothing changed but the number of years that you've been on this earth. But mentally, you have not changed. Male or female, you have not changed. We don't start maturing and getting into who we are until we're 25 to 30 years old. That's when we start formulating who we are. And I ain't even going on Maslow's, but anyway, that's who we start to know who we are. And then there's a whole nother ball game at 30, 40, and 50. You really get to know yourself in those other age groups. But yeah, and my daughter hasn't, my kid didn't have a baby until she was 30. And she's like, I know damn well I don't want another one, uh, and she's 34. So to be able to know that at 20 and 24 and 25, when she was in college, she didn't want that, it's because of what was taught to her at home, what she's seen at home. So toxicity is a relationships, period, whether it's sexual.
It's indoctrinated.
Yeah.
It's ingrained in our society. It's ingrained in our homes. And this is something that we definitely need to dispel. And we need to confront it, because experience cannot be discounted in that girl's mature fast BS. Facts. Because for instance, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna expose myself a little bit. I was a junkie at 11, 12 years old. I was a garbage girl. I was doing anything and everything you could think of. And I had a very toxic home life. So I knew, just from being out, just from, walking to and from school, from hanging out with my friends, older men liked me, because even though my mind obviously wasn't mature enough, my body was mature enough for them. And in order to get away from my toxic home life, I would use this toxicity so that I would have somewhere to sleep. So I would have somewhere to lay my head. And so because of that, I allowed myself to be groomed. I allowed myself to be taken advantage of by these older men. And I thought I was the shit. You couldn't tell me shit. Are you kidding me? I'm 15 and a whole 25-year-old trying to get at me. Look, you just mad because I'm a bad bitch. That was me. And it wasn't and I'm gonna say this. When it's like Eddie had, I believe Eddie had said it. When you're both grown and you come together, that's different. My daughter's father is 17 years older than me. I was not ready I was not emotionally mature at that point. I was only 25. However, it was a very different dynamic. Even then, from the times that I was with, when I was 15, 16, dating these 30, 25-year-old dudes. Even then, it still wasn't okay, because I wasn't mentally mature, but it was a very different dynamic. If that makes any sense to y'all. But see, when people hear this, now what's the first thing you think they're gonna say? Oh, you a hoe. You wanted all that. This, that, and the third. No, toxicity was indoctrinated in me in my home. So as a coping mechanism and survival tactic, I had to use toxicity to survive. And the fact that that was even necessary is the reason why we need to have these conversations today. Because I don't want toxicity to be necessary for my children to survive. I don't want toxicity to be necessary for your grandchildren or great-grandchildren to survive, for your future children, for your children, your grandchildren. It's something that we need to be combating, just like we combat white supremacy. Because I fully believe that a lot of the toxicity that we see today is a tool of that. Not all, but a lot. And let's talk about another one. We got the male's perspective first when we were talking about toxic masculinity. I want to get the women's perspective first on this one, because I want to talk about toxic feminism.
Hold on. I wanted to interject with Daewoo said before we jump to the next topic about the whole sex thing. Older guy,
okay, go ahead.
Younger guy. Someone mentioned in the comments, media pumps out sex. I have this theory that sex have been marketed. I think we've gotten so beside ourselves on sex as a whole. Like Jesse mentioned, the intimacy, the connection. Sex is meant to initially bear life. We've marketed we've turned women's, you know, breasts into objects, the vagina into like it's marketable. So what does that mean? That means that now it's profitable. So now we can promote sex. We can promote sex and everyone's going to want to do it. And the fantasies and the toxicity, older man with a younger woman. Why? So he can groom her. Why does a younger guy want an older woman? Because apparently older women are the experts. She can teach you some things. Can't no one teach you about a woman better than an older woman. You know what I mean? And it's sex. It's sex. It's this twisted, warped ideology messing around with sex, man. And unfortunately, sex is the pool. Toxicity is like the accomplice. You know what I'm saying? And like what you explaining with yourself, with you basically was using sex to have a place to stay. You know what I mean? And these young men with the fantasy of having a young girl because having an older woman is nasty, I guess. I don't know. I don't feel that way, but apparently, you know what I'm saying? If you go jump 10, 15 years down the pipeline, then maybe older women be like, you know, you couldn't pour piss out a boot with directions on the back. Maybe they can run the whoop wham whistle on younger women. Whatever the case may be, it is toxicity, but it is just being reckless with sex. We are all this centers around sex and being reckless with sex. And you brew these fantasies that's not even true, might I add. You know what I mean? And we have to just be careful. Like, don't get me wrong, I love sex more than the next person, but we have to start talking about sex in the sense of sex and toxicity goes together. You know what I mean? Because, you know, this is what it comes down to. You know, older men ain't taking younger women so that you can teach them how to be grown women. No, it's sex involved. You know what I'm saying? Let's start talking about what it really is. It's about grooming and trying to create the woman you want. And I think, Lloyd, you mentioned it, when a person wants to find their own identity.
Yeah.
They use sex. I mean, oh God, okay.
It's about creating the submissive woman.
Pimp game. I'm getting lace your tennis shoes, pimp game. Pimps get females, turn them out with the sex. Open their minds up. Guess what? You in the stable. Sex is the weapon. Sex has been weaponized on both spectrums, and that leads into toxic femininity, because both, you know, toxicity isn't arbitrary, you know, and this is going to swing over and let the women get involved. But we need to understand that sex is being used as a weapon, and that's it. That's the illegal component right there. So we need to always remember that it's sex. It involves sex.
Eddie,
Absolutely.
real quick, Jess.
No, I was just about to say, I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah, and I agree with what you said, Eddie. But when we look at it, is honestly, I think where that stems from, and I don't want to be wrong when I say it, so y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of that stems from how America looks at sex. Okay, because I remember being in Paris. I remember being in France. And
it's not America. It's Christianity.
I was going there. Hold on.
Yeah.
You don't cut me up, but what I'm trying to say is, in France, in Paris, you see magazines on the front rack, not behind the people. You know, you go to if you go to Amsterdam, you go walk on the red light district, and they're right there in front of you. So what I'm trying to say is, so when there's how you market it here is because this Eurocentric Christianity mindset tells you that that is a taboo and it's something that you should not touch. So they already, think about it, the two things that everybody wants, but everybody says you shouldn't have, is sex and money. That's the two things religion tells you. You shouldn't have sex and you should not have money. Both of those things are bad. If you love money, it's bad, and if you love sex, it's bad. And so you have those two morals driving this toxic train. And so it becomes this Pandora's box that everybody wants to open on different levels and different stages. And now, because people are so hyper, because from a young age, you're taught that this is a taboo. When you get older, you don't even know how to, you don't even know how to contain your own sexuality, and now it becomes to a person trying to groom. It comes to a person trying to manipulate and use, like Eddie said, use sex as a weapon because they never knew how to control it when they were younger. And that's all I want to say.
And that's why I'm 44 with an OnlyFans page. I'm just saying, you know, $9.99 a month.
Well, what I wanted to say too is that when it comes to sex in general, is that I think something that would be incredibly fucking helpful is for them to redo the entire sex ed curriculum. And not just it be about the mechanics of sex and from a very like scientific reasoning of, oh, it's just for procreation. It's not for this. And we're going to show you what happens when you have sex. Like, yeah, sure. They tell us, you know, sperm, egg, baby. And they show you the birth video and they show you the STDs and they basically scare you about sex because you're going to have a baby or you're going to get this or you're going to get that and it's going to last forever. You know, they don't go into the intimacy idea, nor do they teach consent. And
that's because this ideal has been created by the Ben Shapiros of the world who can't get a fucking wop.
That far. So now for me, I was very privileged as a kid because I went to hippie church. I was raised Unitarian Universalist. And what we offered at our church was a sex ed class, and it was called OWL, Our Whole Lives. And what that class did was exactly what I feel sex ed in schools should do. Because not only we talked about the mechanics of sex, but we also talked about, you know, not just intercourse, but we talked about outer course. We also talked about sex from multiple different sexual orientations. So we had people who were gay, straight, trans, bi, all the orientations, all genders come in and talk about sex from their perspectives. We talked about masturbation. We even had a day where we played with little toys. We didn't actually use them, but we were introduced to them and saw what they did. You know, practice, you know, obviously putting condoms on and all this stuff. But we got to understand, like, in depth what actually goes into sex. And so I guess for Jesse, I learned that at 16. A lot of us learned that at 16. So I think a few of us felt a little bit better about approaching some of our first sexual experiences, and majority of them were with the people that I was with at church because we had grown up with each other, we knew each other, and hey, we're in sex ed class together, and hey, we're all of age, and hey, we're all kind of hot, so let's fuck around. And so it was, yeah, that's kind of what we did.
But you're lucky. My sex ed teacher was Vanessa Del Rio, so there you have it. So
yeah, you know, our sex ed.
I'm done.
You know, our sex ed was, you know, having cup sex and showing how STDs can transfer and the birth video, but there was no talk about consent. And had we learned about consent, and I feel like some of those, if there is a firmer understanding about consent and a lot more education about what really goes into sex and not just the mechanics of it, I feel like that could then help in the next few years of understanding what you're actually getting into. Instead of, pregnant and STDs, you're actually coming into opening up, being vulnerable, being going somewhere where you've never gone before. And I mean, talk about orgasms. An orgasm is a whole fucking thing. No one told, that's one thing. No one told me about what an orgasm can do to you. No one told me what goes into it. No one told me any of that shit. I had to figure that shit out on my own. And I'm glad
people be acting crazy as fuck when they finally get one.
Yeah. No.
They don't know what the hell happened.
I thought I was peeing. No one told me what it was. And I was like, whoa, it does that? And why do I feel good? Why am I wet? It's just like, no one, it's just kind of like.
Richard Pryor said it the best, ain't nobody been mad fucking. So I think it needs to be more fucking, especially with politics. Some of these politicians was fucking and coming, laws would get passed, no more wars, everybody be happy, because as soon as someone get mad, we fucking, yep, all right then, sign this shit, legislation, get the ball moving. But yeah, you're right.
You know
This. But you have to understand, they're not going to teach consent and what you're speaking, because the people who created this shit feels that women who say no don't really know what they're talking about. No, you want it. It's written by these guys who, feel that women should just wash shit stains out of underwear, cook food, and keep their fucking mouth closed when their associates are over. So these are
what
the
it
people.
is, what it really is that the Eurocentric ideology of Christianity, like Lloyd was saying, has seeped in so deep into this country. It's infiltrated the public school system, which means we are taught to be abstinent. We are taught that sex before marriage, sex is bad. It's only for procreation. We're not taught about the fact that sex can also be recreational. And so when we finally, get to have sex, we like, oh, goddamn, I ain't about to stop this shit. And then we fucking everything that's fucking walking. And now that we don't know, like, so we only get when you're in public school and you get sex ed, what I show you pictures of with STDs, the very worst case scenarios. They show you the worst case of syphilis, the worst case of gonorrhea, the worst case of herpes. So you have people who, and they don't discuss like the beginning symptoms. So we don't know what we're looking for.
Nor do they tell you that you can have a healthy sex life, like especially for people with herpes. Nor do they tell you that you can have a successful and happy sex life and still have
HPV, HPV,
yeah.
HIV, AIDS, all these other things. Well, I understand that the HIV and the AIDS is relatively newer, but even now, are they talking about PrEP? Are they talking about PrEP?
My question is, why are we expecting a Eurocentric educational system to teach my kids? We as a Black household, we need to start teaching our kids and not relying on the school system to teach them sex education. And that's where it comes back to toxicity in the home, and especially in our homes, because we already have been indoctrinated with Christianity. But once we have broken that cycle, it's time for us to teach our own kids in our house what sex is all about it. Because you know what? That's how you got here. This is how we have healthy conversations, healthy children that grow up to have kids. But we have to start in our home. We rely so much on the whitewashed school education to teach our kids so much, and that's where I feel, as a Black person, grandmother, mother, we go all the hell to the left, because we all know sex is pleasurable. It's, as a woman, we're taught at a very young age, excuse me, y'all may not ever hear me talk like this again, but if you're a woman, you should never be broke because you got a moneymaker. We're taught that kind of stuff at a very young age, in the Black home. Why don't we sit down with our kids? Look, we know sometimes girls come, they haven't even been taught about their cycles and stuff like that. What's going to happen when it happens? We need to be more open and out front with our kids in our home first, before we send them out there into this whitewashed education to learn about bullshit, nothing that has to do with real life.
And just to touch on that a little bit, parents, don't just hand your kids a fucking book and expect them to read it and understand what's going on in it. This needs to be a conversation, a two-way street, because I found out where babies came from by reading What to Expect When You're Not Expecting at 8.
But Jess,
while my mama was pregnant. Like, this needs to be a conversation. You can't just hand your kid a book and expect them to know everything.
But what David was speaking, what David was speaking, I was just thinking, we spent eternity giving our kids a dirty glass of water. And it's time that we start giving our children a clean glass. That dirty glass, we've been feeding them toxicity since they were born. All right. We've been teaching them how to act, how to do this, but we got to start giving them that clean glass. All right. And how do you give them that clean glass? Y'all, we got to drink the clean glass first. Okay. You can't expect greatness. In other words, we say this in artillery: good data in, good data out. But the thing is, if you don't have the good data in, if we don't have the good data in us, how do we expect to push that data onto our children? And so it is our job to pour ourselves, and that's what we're doing right now. What we're doing right now, we're pouring ourselves a clean glass of water. Okay, we're pouring ourselves a clean glass of water, and that clean glass cannot just stop after our conversation here and we say, man, that was a great conversation, and then we all go back to our lives. It's how does it free us? Is this conversation freeing us today? Are we going to go out looking at things
again?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If we leave this conversation the same way we were when we came in, all we did was get in here and flap our gums and not go back and change.
Let me ask you, as a father, Lloyd, as a father, do you teach your boys or girls, but I'm only using your son, do you teach them, self healthy sex habits, the ins and outs of sex? Because
I'm gonna ask you a question.
I have found, as in our profession, we know that a whole lot of things happen where the toxicity kicks in at a young age for a lot of them. But I also know that, and y'all can jump me after the show, jump me now, whenever y'all want to. Going back to some of Jess's earlier segments, sometimes the macho man forget to teach their children, not just sons, but forget to teach their children how to be men or how to be young women. My husband taught my daughters how sit in that car so that man come open the door. Nobody's honking that horn for you to come outside. Those small little things that we see or fantasize or romanticize on TV, if that's what you want your child to understand, start that at a very young age. Just, you don't have kids right now, right? So, you're already at that point where you're mature enough that you know what you're going to teach your child. You're open enough that you're going to teach your child, if you decide to have children, how to be, when to be, all the things you didn't know. But for those out there in the audience, and for anybody that hears this, we have to really start as Black men, as Black women. We have to start teaching our kids, our males. We need to teach them, because like I said, we're taught very early about our money maker. I think young men need to be taught, from a very early age, how to be, because whether or not you want to admit it or not, how can I say this decently? Little boys are already having erections at 3, 4, 5 years old. So we need to be explaining to them when they're able to start walking and talking. We need to be able to explain to them what's happening to their bodies, but we don't do that. So I was asking Lord, or you, Eddie, do you feel like you would talk to your young son at that age?
Yeah, most definitely. My dad talked to me. Shit, but the shit he would say to me, it was some of the realest shit, but it was so toxic. Like it was, bless his soul. He was an awesome guy, but old Vietnam veteran, special Green Beret guy. So he had direct language. He taught me things and told me things, but I'm doing my damnness to get my mind right, because Patrick's too. So I'm getting my mind right. I'm already writing the SOP to try to do things different. But with Lloyd, well, not with Lloyd, but what Lloyd said as far as the clean glass, before we get a clean glass, we got to learn how to wash dishes. We got to back it up a little bit. We got to learn how to wash dishes, because I'm 44 years old and I'm still detoxing. when you're raised up in toxicity, it's like Yoda said, you have to unlearn what you've learned. This shit ain't like 12-step program. I'm still detoxing. I still say some shit. My wife be like, dude, that was fucking misogynistic as fuck. And I'd be like, word? Like, for real? Like, yeah, you can't say that, or I'll say something, she'd be like, dude, that's sort of sexist. And I'm like, I'm 44, and I'm like, I know for a fact that my wife hasn't been busting me upside the head, so I'm sure it's far and few in between. But at 44, I'm still getting tapped on my shoulder. And this is coming from a guy who took it upon himself to start learning or unlearning these toxic traits. Because like I said, where I'm from, and I said it in my first one about toxicity, we go hard on the female just because how the culture was. And that's just how, like they will say, you have a moneymaker. You should never be broke. We was taught to find women like that and tap pockets. So we're all indoctrinated under toxicity. But my dad used to tell me, oh God, I was okay. My dad would say, son, when you get with a female, if you're not going to be with her and you just fucking around, don't give her 100% of the Johnson. Because when you give it to her all the way, you're going to create a problem. Because you don't want to be with this woman. You just want to have a good time. But you're going to go all out. And then when she starts chasing you in motion, you open her up. She's going to be following you. And you're going to make it hard for the next guy who wants to be sincere with her. He said, give her 45. 45. I'm like, 40 what? He was like, enough for a good time, but enough for her ass to forget you. Shit like that. And I'm walking down the street, once again, toxicity is so fine and finesse that this shit is the gospel. Like my dad used to tell me some shit like that. I used to be like, it's like, this nigga smooth as shit. We don't want to be like, you sound fucking stupid. So it's so easy to let that venom get in your veins. But with that being said, the normalizing of the toxicity, like you say, we could say, we got to fight toxicity. But at the same time, you have to go down your list and see what have you normalized. Because now you got, as they say in the government, you got to red ink some shit. You got, that was 1985. That's not you. And then next thing you know, you're left with a little bit more condensed, appropriate, and then from there you have to further detox. So overall, moms, yes, I will definitely talk to my son. I fear talking to Jean Grey. That's going to be that's going to be hard for me. Not because she's my daughter, but I'm not a fucking woman. And I know she's going to come to me about certain things. And I'm afraid that my father is going to slip out because I might say something that fuck her head up. And I don't want that. That would hurt my heart. But
you already know.
Everything. We just have to,
Eddie.
We have to detox. We have
Eddie,
to
Jean,
detox.
I'm gonna show you something, Eddie. Jean is not listening from here. She's listening from here.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say this. Real quick. As a daughter who has, I know that certain talks that my mom had with me, she had the best of intentions. She said some pretty stupid fucking shit, but she had the best of intentions. Parents make fucking mistakes. As long as you take accountability with your children, they're gonna remember that more than the fuck up you made. You're gonna say the wrong thing. You're never always gonna do the right thing. Because I understand that anxiety of like, what am I gonna tell my sons? I'm not a dude. I'm gonna say something wrong. But my sons also know that I'm always going to I'm always going to be their safe place. And if they tell me I fucked up and I hurt them, I'm going to take accountability. I'm going to apologize. And that's what I've noticed is the most important thing as far as parenting. That's just been my experience.
Well, Jess, I'm gonna tell you this, right? Even in our household, so my wife's oldest, or our oldest that's in the house, who just got out the Navy, sometimes she'll tell her mom, well, you did this with me when I was growing up. And I always got to pull her, and I'm like, you were first. Your mom was 13 when she had you. I was like, you got to understand that a lot of mistakes were going to be made with you. And so you got to, you know, and that's where you're trying to change out that glass of water, and you're trying to show them that, yeah, everything she did wasn't right. Hell, I'll tell you like this. My mom's first husband, the way he used to beat me, you know, you used to go and say, man, I took a beat. Man, no, that was wrong. That was child abuse, the way he used to beat me. You know what I'm saying? The way he used to beat me was 100% child abuse. But that, you know, and I'm not giving him a pass, but that's what he knew. You know what I'm saying? And so many people grab onto what they know. I think Ma Duke said it best. You know, these you know, generational toxicity is a cycle. And that's why I'm saying, Eddie, you know, Gene listens from here. I tell you, the daughter's one of the best things the daughter, when I'm telling you, it feels great when they say, he reminds me of you. You know, that one of the greatest things, you know, a daughter can say is when they bring home a guy and says, and all of them done it, he reminds me of you. He reminds me of you. But I'm just like, wow, that's awesome. Now, one of my daughters, I'm like, I don't know what part he ever remind me of you. It is, I don't know what part. But I'm just saying, but that right there is, now from the man point of view, same thing. How you see your sons treat who they get with, then you're gonna, that is a repetitive way. Okay, when I see this, now I'll tell you guys, Liz is a drag out, will not hold nothing back to these kids. That's how she talks to them. The way she does it, like if my daughter was about to leave right now, like if it's 10 o'clock at night, no, it's 9:30. But if it's 10 o'clock at night and one of my daughters going out the door, Liz is gonna tell them how it is. If you're out there fucking, it's on you. That's how. I mean, she tell how the TI is. She talking about you out there running them streets and you out here doing this and coming here. I mean, that's just how she is. And
I love Liz already.
I
said I love Liz already.
Yeah, but she does all of them. She tells them all. She said, if you leave this house and you go out there fucking, you come back pregnant, we ain't raising them. That's what she tells them. And she tells it to Richard too. She tells Richard the same thing. Hey, I know you over there staying with your girlfriend, and you know, y'all living, you know, because they're living in Norman together. Oh yeah, if this happened, don't be bringing home no babies to us because you're gonna be raising them. I mean, she does that, and she tells them how a TI is, and she always been doing it. It makes me laugh. She'd be like, I mean, just our daughter will be funny because she'll just say, I know my wife will be like, bitch, where you going? And like, what you just call her? And all of them say, mom, mom, mom. And that's all they say. But she'll be telling them, hey. So, you know, the fear is, I don't think you should fear Eddie because you have you know, even the way you sound, you have your head is on your shoulders correctly when it comes to raising them. So I know the honey badger is going to be a gentleman. I know Gene is going to be taken care of because guess what?
I don't know about the honey badger. I do. Look, I know out my mind he's going to be cool. See, Patrick, the reason why I fear about Gene is because, see, Patrick is a new soul. In my opinion, he's fresh. Gene is me and my father in a female's body. My daughter is pretty much a female version of me. So my fear is that her thinking process is able to rewire to where she knows, like we're the same. Like we're both Libras. It's my dad, and what I fear the most is that she's going to be like right now. Jean is a problem because she's so advanced, she's so smart, she's full of emotion, and she's only 6, and she can't control them. And Daewoo, like you said, you don't start knowing yourself until you're 25 because that's when your frontal lobe fully develops between 25 to 30. So I'm gonna have a daughter who exceeds, like in school right now, she exceeds her peers. like I said, she's been here before. And those are always the ones I fear because they pick up quick. You know, they pick up, they learn, they know. My wife is awesome. My wife is fair, but, you know, she's a stiff jab, in my opinion. I can be excessive, but at the same time, I try to blend it off with just, you know, being fair and you know, just letting them know that, like, I love them. You know what I'm saying? But once again, toxicity, what we were talking about, every day I'm unlearning this shit. You know, even when I got with my wife now, the previous relationship I was in was so toxic that I'm not gonna say I was walking on eggshells, but my wife had to remind me a couple of times, like, yo, like I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, and once again, like, and this is just for me. I'm just sharing it for everyone in the chat who's watching. One of the key components is normalization, because when you normalize it, it's like almost ingrained in your thought process. And if no one checks you on that, that's going to always be your clutch. So I have to see what I've normalized, because, you know, raising my voice and just being like, raw, you know, that's what I grew up with. And my wife has to remind me several times, like, yo, dude, that's a little excessive. Like, you got to bring it down some. Like, that shit wasn't necessary, because I'm constantly unlearning these things. And it's a struggle. And like I said, you know, I started finding myself like mid-30s. So I'm still, I'm not gonna say I can go both ways, but I ain't too far over that threshold, if you know what I mean. So I'll share this with everyone. It's important that you identify your toxicity, you identify that problem, be honest with yourself, and immediately start unlearning what you've learned, because it's a process. It takes time, and if you yourself cannot be dedicated long enough to see just a little bit of a turnout, you're going to have these conversations, and it's hard as fuck, because we're just programmed to adapt. But then at the same time, the people who mean so much to us, who taught us this shit, we still really don't want to confront them and let them know that they were in the fucking wrong. Like, that was toxic as fuck, because those are our idols. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to, you know, feel that you let your idols down, or you don't want to confront your idols to let them know, like, yeah, that's not the way this shit works. So
absolutely. And I think that we need to get rid of that negative stigma. I do not care if you are my elder, if you say something that's homophobic, if you say something that's toxic in any sort of way. You know, like we all know I got a white mom. If she says something that's, you know, racist or, you know, something like that, call it the fuck out. Just like if I say something problematic, I want my children to call me out. We need to get rid of that mindset of the fact that just because we're somebody's children or we're younger, that people are allowed to speak however the fuck they want to speak. Because that's what keeps breeding this toxicity. Like my mom's roommate is very misogynistic. He was talking to my son one day about Fortnite skins, and about how there was he was telling him all the skins that were on there. It was Marvel characters, and he mentioned that there was She-Hulk. And he goes, what about regular Hulk? He's not on there. My kid don't think there's anything wrong with this, you know? So what? And he goes, why they gotta have a woman on there? When I tell you, I picked up that phone so fast and I said, we don't do that here. And he said, what? I said, we are not misogynistic here. She-Hulk is just as good as Hulk. Now let's not talk about the comics or anything like that. I know we got some nerds up in here, but you know, as far as my kids go, and Fortnite skins, She-Hulk just as good as the Hulk. They both still fucking green. I don't fucking care. You know, you're not gonna bitch just because she's a woman. And he tried arguing with me, and he tried telling me to basically sit down and shut up because I don't know shit, because I'm young and I'm a woman and this, that, and the third. And he said he was gonna take my sons for the summer and teach them how to be real men. I said, do that and like come to my house. I dare you, and you won't be a man no more. Period. I'll cut your balls off. Because you're not teaching my sons this misogynistic shit. You're not breeding that toxicity into my sons. And I think that we really need to start being able to stand up to people who are older than us. People that we can still respect them. I mean, I don't respect him, but I'm an asshole. I don't care. But we need to, we can still respect people, but still check them. I do not care if you're 25 or 55. If you say some foul shit, I'm going to call it out.
Yep.
And I think we need to start getting used to doing that. But we dog walked it a little bit around the park. I want to hear the ladies' definition of toxic feminism, please. And I don't know why I'm doing this. I just like hearing my nails click. It's my ADHD thing. At least I'm remembering what the fuck I'm supposed to say. So, ladies, why don't you go ahead and give me your definition of toxic feminism? Who want to go first?
Jesse Lee does. Jesse Lee does.
I will pick somebody. Y'all don't understand. Jesse,
you want wisdom to come out.
Hey, what's up? How you doing? What's going on? No, I had my hand raised because I wanted to talk to Eddie about something, or just tail off of blah. Words aren't working right now. No,
real quick, go ahead and then just go ahead and give us your definition.
Okay, I'll be quick. Like because I was a teacher, a preschool teacher, one of the most toxic things that I experienced, and I will never forget this, is we had a little girl who was very tomboyish, and we encouraged it at the Montessori school. We always encouraged the kids to identify how they wanted to identify, if they wanted to play with the truck. We did not assign gender roles to toys, and so these kids could do it. And so she bonded with the boys. She always hung out with the boys, and we were all for it. And then came the day where she knew that she had all the boys' attention in a different way, but then flipped it and was trying to get the boys to kiss her, and got all the boys to kiss her. And of course, you know, they're 4 and 5 years old. So yeah, they're going to give out kisses. They're going to do that. And then came the day where I was in with my 2-year-olds, and I hear a dad yelling in the hallway, yelling at a mother and her son with his daughter right there, saying, and if your son ever kisses my daughter again, I will come here and I will yell at you again. I swear, you stay away from my daughter. And the daughter heard that, looked at and saw the reaction from her father, and smiled. 2 days later, one of the boys got sent home from school. And the reason is because this girl manipulated the boy to kiss her on her area. And he did. The boy got sent home. The girl cried to daddy. And he came in again and yelled. And this pattern repeated over and over again. And the boys kept getting sent home, but the girl got to stay. And it was absolutely disgusting, because this father, yeah, I understand that this father is going to come in and obviously be upset, but instead of directing his attention and the education towards his daughter, being like, hey, what you're doing and telling these boys to do is absolutely inappropriate, he put it on these other kids' responsibilities and would yell at these parents and say, your kids need to do better, when this child was the one who was instigating. And so in that, this daughter learned from her father that she can get someone to do anything that she wants, and will know that she will always be protected, and that nothing bad would ever happen to her. And that was one of the most toxic things that I've ever seen. And one of the reasons why I left the school that I was at, because I'm like, no, you are not just going to punish these boys. You can't just punish these boys. There needs to be a conversation in the class about kissing and how you kiss your family, this, and how there are areas of the body that you do not kiss. There needs to be this education that needs to go further. But what we're not going to do is just punish our boys like this. That's not appropriate. None of it was appropriate. Not the father coming in yelling so loud that my little ones could hear him, that I could hear him. And I had to come out in the hallway and say, I don't know what's going on, but if you continue to raise your voice, I'm going to ask you to leave. Because I was like, my little one should not be hearing this. There should not be yelling in the school. There should be, this is a peaceful environment. And if you can't be peaceful, get out. Like, it's not good. Okay, so toxic femininity. My definition of it. I hate being put on the spot.
Jesse, expound on what you just said, because that moves right into it.
Oh, well.
When you start talking about a young lady understanding her cries, her voice, the toxicity of being able to use her feminine powers or her feminine, all that's toxic stuff. So really expand from how this young lady can grow and use that crying of wolf for her advantage. And then I think you're actually moving into exactly where you're going.
Oh, okay. Okay. Jesse's on the spot. Think thought. So with this crying of wolf, this idea where basically this girl recognized that she could always play victim, that she could always win just by doing the most egregious thing possible of forcing someone to do something, or even just telling them to do it, knowing, having the foreknowledge that she will get away with it. You always get away with it because you're a girl and because you have a stronger man protecting you, or you have your mom or whomever, an adult figure that's bigger than you, specifically in this case. I feel like toxic femininity is using the fact that you are a girl or feminine, and that you are perceived as the weaker sex, that you are owed a favor, regardless of the impact of your actions on the opposite sex. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter at that point. It's like, well, I don't care if I hit you first. If I hit you first, you're a man and you shouldn't be hitting me at all. It's like, it's kind of, am I making sense, or am I just like, okay, oh, I'm good. Okay. Thanks.
You're making total sense, babe. You're making total sense.
Thank you. I'm the baby, everybody. I'm the baby. I'm just trying to get my knitting. just remember I'm the baby on this thing. But yeah.
Look, just because you the baby doesn't mean that your point is any less valid.
Thank you.
Jesse, really, even on that, talk about the Eurocentric thought of how even throughout the past, you already said it right there, how women had used that many times. Even if you look up, and I know this is, we're talking about toxicity overall, but in Africa, there were tribes of women who are the warrior women. Mm-hmm. They were warriors, and you've seen that in Black Panther how they played it out. But there's something about this American project that women are supposed to be soft, women are supposed to be barefoot and pregnant, are only supposed to do for their husband and sit there and do that, and be a doormat and be submissive. And so, but when it's time, but their only war cry is someone tried to touch me or kiss me, or an Emmett Till situation, they whistled at me. Mm-hmm. And that was brought in. So when you talked about that, you talked about how this little girl had already learned at a young age that she could use being a female over men all the time. So when you talk about toxic relationships and toxicity, how many times has a woman got upset with a man, did something, called the authorities, and because she called the authorities, the man was the one that was punished? We all seen that one TikTok where the guy was like, look, I'm trying to leave. And she's like, no, I'm going to call the cops. I mean, just that right there when you talk about toxicity.
Weaponizing an authority.
Hold on, y'all. I know y'all got something to say. I know.
I sorry.
I just want a chance for the ladies to go first. I'll let y'all go first and for toxic masculinity. So we're gonna let the women have the floor for right now. I just really wanted to quick touch on Lloyd, what you had said about in regards to history. You know, we had African tribes where the women were warriors. Historically, there's always been stories or myths talking about women who have pushed back against the patriarchy. Women who weren't just wives or mothers or submissive. And you talking about this actually brought up, I'm gonna nerd out for a second, y'all bear with me, brought to mind the Greek myth of Atalanta. And for anybody that's unfamiliar with it, she was a princess who was left out into the woods to die by her family and was raised by bears. Hunters came along and killed her bear mother. But when the Clydonian boar, I believe, came stomping around, she was actually recruited by a group of hunters, and she helped slay the beast, this, that, and the third. But then she rejoined the kingdom because then she was honorable. So she rejoined the kingdom, and she was told right away she had to get married. She said, hold the fuck up. And obviously I'm paraphrasing, so no historians fucking come for me. She said, hold up. I'll get married, but I'm going to choose my husband. And the way I'm going to choose my husband is he has to beat me in a race. Now, mind you, this woman was literally raised by bears. So nobody could beat her in a race until the goddess Aphrodite gave, I forget his name, a bunch of golden apples and told him to throw them. And so it would distract her and this, that, and the third. But anytime she would give her competitor a head start. And whenever she caught up to him, she stabbed that motherfucker. Because she was like, okay, I can't refuse to marry because I'll be killed. I'll be exiled again. She's like, but I am going to choose who I marry. And we also have the Greek myth of the Amazons, who were also warriors. There's plenty of history that shows women who weren't just submissive and wives and mothers and such, and they challenged those ideologies. So that just real quick brought that to the forefront of my mind when you had gone ahead and mentioned that.
I have nothing. I just wanted to say this because when the women talk, I really have nothing else to say after this. So I just want to absorb everything. But what Jess was saying about the young girl, one of the things that my mother told me that I thought wasn't fair, but it makes a lot of sense that I'm older. She says, I'm going to, if you're wrong, you're going to have to stand 10 toes down on that shit. I'm not going to come help you. I'm not going to be there for you. But if you're in the right, I'll send the cavalry. And I think that can be, as far as my daughter, that can be the gauge because, if she's out here starting shit, I'm not fucking with you like that. Like just off rip, you know what I'm saying? Because you starting this shit. And, Jess, what you were saying, this young girl learned to weaponize her father. And damn all that ain't happening with me.
Sorry, my daughter deciding to crash the party.
If my daughter is doing bad, she's gonna be by herself. But if she's doing good, because that's what I'm not gonna have my daughter try to do is play that game. Because if you think, oh, because I'm a woman type shit, there's some variables where we got you, but conducting yourself in a situation where, you know, you bringing this shit on yourself, nah, fuck that. You're gonna have to stand up on your own too. And you can't call that. And holy shit, my eyes are red. But hey, don't worry about it. That's all I got.
You know why
Hey,
your eyes
Wu,
are red.
hey, Wu,
We
it's all on you. I'm about to
You know
absorb this
why your
because it's
eyes
the
are
first
red.
time I'm actually hearing women. We talk about men all the time. Never really heard women's take on toxic femininity, if I'm saying it, toxic females. I'm
Feminism.
Yes, that too. So I'm gonna be quiet now because I definitely want to get educated more on this so I can have a better understanding.
Absolutely.
First
all right,
of all,
Daewoo,
I
it's your
think
turn.
we need to talk about the toxicity of we as women. Jesse Lee was saying it. You know, we learn how to manipulate because, you know, daddy's girl, all that. But not but, however, I would talk about toxicity as grown as women against each other. Because we can weaponize ourselves against other women and be so doggone toxic that it is disturbing to me. We will let a man slide. Let me just put it this way. We can be so toxic, say a relationship, right? And I can only speak of heterosexual relationships because that's what I'm in, okay? But we can see this man step out on his old lady and the woman want to go beat the other woman. Hell no. Check this out. No, you talk to that man. Check that man. Don't go checking another woman. And when I see feminine toxicity, I really think of how we use our charm, our wit, our manipulation, all of the woes we know how to sabotage, lie, destruct others, but mostly to each other. I think that there comes a time when, as women and as Black women, we need to know when to back the hell up, when to speak up. And I'm not saying be submissive, all of that. Do what you want to do in your own relationship. But what I'm talking about to each other, it is high time that we stop coming at each other. And y'all know I don't like to hear women calling women bitches on the real. You know, like if you just saying, hey, but to really dog somebody and drag them through the mud like that, we need to start within our own communities, within ourselves, knowing that we can be some hella toxic people. And that's just off the muscle, straight facts, no chaser. Because we learn to our like Jesse Lee said, we learn that manipulation, but we also have that jealousy thing. We have that all of that going on. And instead of taking it out on the person we should, or even if it's with ourselves, we want to take it out on another female. And that's where I look at that feminine toxicity just going all wrong, all wrong.
Can I ask this question? Just a question, just for in regards to the listener. Do you think that is brewed an external source for women with the toxicity? Do you think it's brewed in conjunction with like unrealistic beauty demands? Like, you know what I'm saying, at an early age, you're influenced by what's pretty, what isn't, and breaking it down, comparison. Like, are external sources added into that outside of just the internal? Or what plays a factor into brewing that toxicity? If in a man's, well, as a woman, how? Okay, yeah. So that's what my wife says. But how is that?
So the unrealistic beauty standards and the pressures that women face that way is due to the over-sexualization of children's bodies. I don't think that's toxic feminism. I believe that women can be our biggest critics, and that in itself is toxic feminism. But the beauty standards that are put in place, period, I think comes from the over-sexualization of children, because pedophilia is fucking fetishized in this country. Let me give my definition of toxic feminism real quick, because it does differ a little bit from these ladies real quick, and then we can go ahead and we can discuss all of that. So my definition of toxic feminism is when women center themselves so much that they impede on the rights and the safety and the health of other marginalized people. For instance, trans exclusionary radical feminists, TERFs, toxic fucking feminism. You're telling me that you are basing yourself down to solely reproductive organs when there are women out, cisgender women out there who cannot give birth, but you say that trans women aren't women? That's toxic feminism. Centering yourself and pretending that women are the only people who go through eating disorders, mental illness, domestic violence, sexual assault, and ignoring the struggles that men go through, the societal pressures that men go through, because we feel like it's okay to center ourselves and men just need to be men about it, or it's not real. That to me is toxic feminism. When we're sitting there and we're saying, I forget who said it. It was either Jesse or Daewoo, but you go ahead and you beat the hell out of your man. That's domestic fucking violence. But when he hit back, you want everybody to be worried about you, ignoring the abuse that you had given out, centering yourself and pretending that these issues only affect women, pretending that these issues are only about you, so much so that it impedes on the healing or liberation of other people. That to me is toxic feminism. So guys, I'm gonna Queen Mother has something to say.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly hear what you're saying. Wholeheartedly hear what you're saying. It's such a broad subject that it probably couldn't be covered all in one setting, because that can be another, or is another sense of toxic femininity. But we have to remember that this whole feminine movement didn't include us. It really didn't. It used us, but it did not include us. So when you say to center ourselves, or to center oneself as being that, you're absolutely correct, because we have learned to play, just like Jesse Lee said, we have learned to play on our being, quote unquote, what society would say, the weakest link, or the weaker of the two.
The weaker sex.
Yeah. So we've learned to manipulate and play and sabotage and lie and do all.
And that's the thing,
to make us look like we got X, Y, and Z, when all in all, the fact of the matter is that as a woman, and I can only speak for me, as a Black older woman, I know when I'm toxic. I know damn well that I can manipulate X, Y, and Z to do A, B, C. And in the workplace, I definitely can do it. But I need to be able to check myself. And I need to be, like you guys were saying earlier, I need to be able to hear from all age groups that, hey,
all we got to do is cry.
Yeah.
That's all we got to do.
We'll
sit there. We'll sit there and we will snap on a motherfucker. Think we need them to open the door. And I'm talking about my generation and younger. Because chivalry was seen different in y'all's generation, but in my generation and younger, it's I can do it all by myself. I can do bad all by myself.
And that's where that Eurocentric feminism came in.
And right, but then you sit there and you sit there and
I'm not saying that we can't. We can hold it down. We hold our community down, period.
But then don't sit there and be toxic and then go ahead and cry because nobody protected your ass. You didn't want protection, but now you're going to go ahead and you're going to cry wolf. Yeah, you're going to go ahead and let's face it. It's like we were kind of talking about earlier. We weaponize the hell out of our pussies. We absolutely do. And how many times have you seen or heard about a bitch that went ahead and fucked somebody that they regretted later, or he went ahead and he cheated and he got a new bitch or whatever, and then you see them cry rape. How many times have you seen women weaponize rape allegations?
That's a whole nother ballgame.
That's toxic feminism. That is toxic feminism. Because we know that we're going to get believed by the masses, not by the law, but by the masses. Before
that's where it comes in that we as women know how to weaponize our bodies, weaponize our words, and sabotage others. We're real good at it.
We're experts.
You know, we really are.
We're really good. But once we have recognized, because I know that I can be manipulative as I know I can, but I have to also know that that is not going to get me anywhere in life, because that's just psyching myself out to believe something that really isn't. So, yes.
I always say when women want to take over the world, whenever women want to take over the world, they can and they will. I mean, everything you guys just mentioned has everything written for you to take over the world. Like, seriously, it sounds funny that I say this, but it's the truth. Like,
we have to remember, we can't stand together to boil a pot of water. And you know why? It's because we were taught as young girls that two women in the kitchen just can't make it.
Yeah.
You know, somebody got to be in charge. Somebody got to be in, you know, all of this.
The moment I seen my wife push out a 10-pound baby, everything up to that moment, like I said in my TikTok video, I said I can go to a bridge and tell you the water cold and it's deep. But the moment I saw my son come out of my wife, it dawned on me that you women are wonderful actresses.
I need you
myself and I said, you know what? I said, women are the shit. I said, because what women have to go through, what they've done, and now what I've seen, and she didn't die. You know, dudes would have been.
I need you to not make my cervix hurt in the middle of this motherfucking live. 10 pounds?
Dudes would be having C-sections. I saw this woman push out something that I know for a fact, like, I can throw
up. But you know what?
If I want
the thing. That's another part of toxic feminism, is we sit there and we believe that only giving natural childbirth, vaginal childbirth, is the only way to give childbirth, that C-sections aren't real childbirth. Do you have any idea
there's such a taboo about how you feed your baby too. Like, it's like, it better come from the breast. If you don't breastfeed your baby, then your baby is not healthy. Your baby's not going to get whatever happened to fed is best.
Last I checked, I do what I want with these titties.
Like, whatever happened to fed is best.
I've seen my wife go through this, and I've seen the pain on a woman's face when their nipple is bitten. So if she decides to say, hey, you know what, we tried to breast and he's biting me, we're going to go get a bottle. They go get a bottle, because I've never had my nipple bitten, but looking at her face, I can tell that it's uncomfortable. So guess what? I'm going to go get a goddamn bottle. Like, you know what I mean? So,
but we men typically are not the ones that's telling us breastfeed, bottle feed. Men typically are not. It's we women.
Absolutely. Lloyd, you had something to say real quick?
What works for me, I almost said my real name. What works for me may not work for Jessie Lee. What works for me may not work for Wayward Jessica. Because to try and put feminine toxicity into one cut, that'll never work, because it's not cut dry, straightforward. Because there's so many aspects to a woman. Not that there's not a man, but there are so many mental, emotional, and physical aspects to a woman, or even trans, that it is so delicate and so vast that we could never cover it all. But what we can talk about is, and what I would love to talk about, is the toxicity of women against other women, Black women against other Black women. That eats me at my crawl. It's nothing worse than for me to tear down Jessica, is, for no apparent reason. Now, if you warrant it, yeah, I'm coming for you. But we have a tendency to tear each other down instead of building each other up. We just don't work as hard to build each other up as we do to build men up. We will build a man up from the ground. And sorry, brothers, but we will take that man that has been spoon fed and that is probably working with a 13, 14, 15-year-old mentality, and we'll build that man up. And like Lloyd said, make him into what we want. But we will not do that with we will not do that with other women. We would rather be jealous, resentful, and hateful. I'm just gonna say it like it is, hateful to one another, because we don't want to see another woman do a little bit better. And that can be set by beauty standards, body shaming,
mothers to their daughters,
all of that. Mothers to
I'm gonna say this.
It's a whole lot. It's not
I'm gonna say this.
cut and dry.
The only people on TikTok that try coming for my blackness is other black women who don't like what the fuck I have to say.
We come for each other real quick, fast, and in a hurry. And that's why when I tell, my sons, my play sons, my own sons, that don't be calling women out of their name. Your mother named you something for a reason. I'm sorry, I got a text coming in. But anyway, your mother named you something for a reason. When we start calling each other, and to me, there's nothing worse than to see two women bickering over nothingness. If I don't like what Jessie Lee has to say, guess what? I'm going to address her. If we know each other, I'm going to address her. I'm going to pull it to the side, but that's my age. That's my wisdom. Now, this TikTok stuff, that's a whole nother thing. I don't know these people. I'm going to check them because I heard you say something. But in the real community, we need to understand that, TikTok is toxic all the way. We need to know that at some point, we need to lay that garbage down. And like Eddie said, reprogram this thing that we're working with and quit thinking that because I'm younger, I'm older, whatever. We need to blend this thing together some kind of way and stop looking at it like I'm attacking you or I'm coming for you or this, that, and the other. Hell, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't care if I'm 8 to 80, blind, crippled. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And that's just the way we as a society, we don't think that way. We want to jump down each other's throat because we want to be the one to be able to cuss you out better. I want to be able to roll my neck better, and I want to be able to tell you off better. Because you know what? We think that makes us look like we're strong. When in fact, it makes you look really weak, in my opinion. In my humble
I absolutely agree. Lloyd looked like he been chewing on his cheek for like 5 minutes, wanting to say so. He been raising his hand, chewing on his lip.
No, I'm just, I guess, a lot has been said about toxic femininity, and what I'm trying to find out at the end of the day is, how does it free us? When you talk about women versus women, because you do see, and even on TikTok, we understand the toxicity of TikTok, but, we've all seen a group of women riding with women. Trust black women. Stay with black women. But what happens is, and I think black women should gel together, but what happens when that black woman is wrong and nobody wants to just say, you're wrong on this one?
And I think that goes into what I had said earlier.
Thank you for saying that, Lloyd. Thank you.
Listen what I'm getting at. I've seen black women at times be wrong, and when another black woman comes to just give them some correction, then they want to revert to this word, don't tone check me. And you're not being tone checked. She's just trying to tell you what's right. And now if the black woman tells the other black woman what's right, now she's not supporting all black women and all black matters. Well, sometime, and it's not just in our community, but and that's why we need to talk about this really in the governance structure when we're around each other like we are now, is that we have issues in our community that we have to fix. And one of the ways to fix those issues is we have to start giving each other those clean glasses of water. And if a person rejects the clean glass of water and they want to still drink from the dirty glass, you know, and that's how you get those wars, Queen Mother. That's how you get those different wars, because someone tried to give them a clean glass, but they got so used to drinking the dirty glass and they wanted to be right and they didn't want to be tone checked. And because everybody got to support black women all the way down to the death, well sometimes, you know, it's not about supporting black women. Maybe it's just that black woman, you're wrong right now.
Yeah.
Yo, there's been a lot of times when a black man, we've seen a million black men on this app be wrong and in the world. So I think it all boils down to pouring each other that clean glass of water. And that is something that we all have to just get up and say, and we literally got to make that choice. What you gonna drink today? You gonna drink a clean glass or you can drink a dirty glass? And as we take these glasses and we start drinking them, we got to know, you know, and then even I like what Eddie said. We're all trying to relearn. Sometimes it's a baby steps thing. You know, everybody can't get to the finish line at the same time. And so sometimes we got to give people that, and I'm not trying to say, give them a whole lot of space, forgive them. They're just not there. No. What I'm trying to say is when they're headed in the right direction, we're supposed to be, and I like what they will say, we're supposed to be each other's biggest cheerleaders. You know, don't just correct them when they're wrong, but also pat them on the back when they're right. You know, give them more water to drink. Help them drink the water. Tell them how it goes. And that's where you get going. They will say it best. She said the feminism movement involved you, but it wasn't for you. All right, because guess what? Because black women have always been praised in our communities. In fact, I watched it right here last night. I watched Sankofa last night. And if you watch Sankofa, look who everybody looked to in that village.
So I'm gonna say this. Black women have always been praised by our communities, except by other Black women. Because it's like, I forget if it was in the comments or if Daewoo said it, but it's
but
competition.
Jessica,
You gotta be the big bit.
No, but not always. Because
not always. No, but it's a mentality that's been hanging over our community like a dark cloud. And this is something that we need to go ahead and we need to break that up so that the sun can shine through and we can actually start healing and start working on toxic feminism, toxic masculinity, all toxicity in our community.
But you know how we already started?
The Living Color, remember the Living Color character? Remember Kim Wayne's? You know, hey neighbors, how you doing? But don't be talking about so and so. I ain't the one to gossip, so you ain't heard it from me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's taken from like real life where women are really hating on one another.
But
Eddie, what I wanted to just
let me finish real quick.
What you were saying, Lloyd. I just want to add on what you're saying. Finish. I just want to add on what you're saying right there.
I got you.
It's to the point where people in this day and age, the ability to talk, like people can talk, that no one's listening no more. So you can't tell me shit because everyone at some point, you know, you had to earn that right to talk. Like people like, oh man, you know, so-and-so didn't put in work. You see them, you see their actions. And when they talk, people listen. People have accessibility to talk all the time. And I hate to say this, but if I have 1.4 million followers, 2.3, 3.1 followers, and everyone's listening to me, what the fuck makes you think I need to listen to you? You dig it? You know
we talk at each other, not to each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, so if you try to come tell me something, who the fuck is you talking to? Like, don't tell me shit. I got like thousands of people who listen to me. Who are you to tell me to listen to you? Because I have thousands.
But if you guys look at it though, but I want to show y'all we're already starting to correct it, and I want to applaud what we're doing, and just in our circles how we're already correcting it.
We have conversations to respond sometimes, and we have to learn the art of communication.
But they will.
Yes,
they will. What I'm saying is, real quick. I'm sorry. I hear what you're saying. And I'm gonna show you how we're starting to correct it. Look at what we have done, and that's why I don't want to shed on the bad. That's what I'm talking about. How's it free us, y'all? Look what we've done. We've already started putting people into places. We've exalted Daewoo, the Queen Mother. And if you see her authority is not challenged by anyone, and everybody respects it. You know, we're starting to put different people in different places within our movement. All right. We got Ma Dukes like the auntie. We're putting her in places. We're putting our queens in place. We're putting our kings in places, and we're all coming under this submissive umbrella so we can move forward. And that is what I'm talking about, the clean glass of water, is that we're setting up these communities. And that is what's been broken in the first place. How toxicity came in is because families tried to do it by themselves for so long, and they stopped allowing the community to come in. Jessie Lee is one of our young ones in our community. We have the women already taking her under her wing. We have Jessie Lee speaking to Queen Mothers, speaking to her big brothers. We're moving this community in a way that's supposed to be going, and we just cannot stop it. We must understand that even though we're going to do that, there's going to be fighting in the community. There's going to be bickering in the community. But it's how we all come under subject to the roles of our elders and leaders in our community so we can push forward. And that is going to break it all down. But,
and
you know,
at the end of the day, we always forget that just because a person is older doesn't make them an elder. What makes you an elder?
Say that again. Hold on. Say it again. Say it again.
You're wise enough to recognize when you have to start with that. This is an inward journey for each of us. Being an elder in my community, what I practice, being an elder is not just my age. It is what I have to put in work. I have to do it from the inside out. And Lloyd knows me, Eddie knows me. There have been times, like, hey, they might have to check me on something because my mind is at a different level. My mind is, I've been down this road already. I can tell you where it's going. But we need to remember that, like I said, Jessica Wayward, you said it earlier, that our younger generation needs to be able to check our older generation. But there's also got to be a respectful way to do it.
For instance,
at any given time.
To be clear,
please.
Like if you say something that's, I don't know, insensitive to the LGBTQ plus community, because I'm part of it. I'm not gonna be like, hey, you bitch, this, that, and this. No. I'm gonna talk to you because I still have a level of respect for you. And nobody's gonna be right 100% of the time. And the moment that you think you know everything is when you truly know nothing. So if I come to you and I say, hey, Queen Mother, just to let you know, this comment wasn't okay. And this is why. Bet. Okay, cool. But that's what we don't understand, is that it's kind of like Lloyd was saying, is that like some people on TikTok, they're essentially bringing back the "it takes a village" mentality, the working together as a community, building each other up instead of being crabs in a barrel. We're not trying to tear each other down just so that we're not oppressed and ending up oppressing our own people. And I think that's really important. And I love that clean glass analogy that you had put out there, because it really does make it clear. You look at all the generational trauma, all of the societal pressures, all of the oppression that we face today, that dirties up our glass. So if we're gonna sit there and we want to drink from a clean glass, we want our children to drink from a clean glass, we need to get back the village mentality. It takes a village to raise a child. And there's also a proverb that says that the boy who was scorned came back to burn down the village. I'm paraphrasing because I don't have perfect recollection. Y'all can come for me. I don't give a shit. But we need to also understand that. And I think that goes into toxic feminism, because let's look at, for instance, who breeds this competitive ideation in us as Black women. who breeds that you got to be better than everybody else. It was a survival tactic. You got to be better than everybody else to get into college and get your education. You got to be better than everybody else to get up out of the neighborhood. You got to be better than everybody else.
I think it goes back to the Willie Lynch letter, to be honest with you. Maybe I'm wrong, but the Willie
Can you
Lynch
elaborate
letter,
on that? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, you're not familiar with the Willie Lynch letter?
I am not entirely familiar.
It was just basically
Oh
in a
no,
nutshell.
Lord, it's getting a book.
In a nutshell, the Willie Lynch letter, The Making of a Slave, basically it was to shatter the psyche of women. You take the biggest, blackest slave, you destroy the psyche. It forces women to take an unnatural approach. So from being nurturers, this, that, and the third, when the image of man is destroyed, the psyche is destroyed to where they now have to assume that responsibility. And it says in the letter that women will have offsprings to where the men would be dependent on women because there's no men around, and women would not have to depend on a man. And this is a reverse nature because it's never supposed to be like that. But what happens is when you're dealing with reverse nature over generations, that intertwining breeds where I'm the bad bitch. Like when they say I'm a bad bitch, I was just like, damn, like you a bad female dog. Like I legit, when people say that shit, I'm like, female toxicity. I'm not a man, or I'm not a woman. When women shut up. Women who refer to each other as bitch. Like, why are you normalizing that? Because here's the funny thing. I'll be like, oh shit, what's up, bitch? Who the fuck you calling a bitch? Well, your homegirl called you a bitch. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here or there. But
Can I be frank though?
Huh?
Can I be frank though?
I'll be earnest. What's up?
Can white people sit there and tell us whether or not we can and cannot say nigga to each other?
Can white people tell us no?
So then men can't tell us whether or not we can't. Well,
I'm not saying
you know what I'm saying. Like,
I'm not saying
because it's kind of a word that we kind of took.
I'm not gonna
kind of like how we took the N-word.
I'm just saying, you don't want to refer, and like I said, the N-word, that's stupid. No one, there was no, at a time where we needed gatekeeping, there wasn't gatekeeping. Like, we're going to take back nigga. Wait, hold on, time out. What? No, find another word. You know what that word means. Yeah, no, we can't use that. But my point is, getting back to the whole, why are women so competitive? It is grown out of the reverse nature stemming from the Willie Lynch letter. That's what it comes down to. And the elders, that was their building block. Literally, the Willie Lynch letter is the building blocks to everything that's happening right now. Don't believe me? Why you think pimps need hoes? A pimp legit, he depends on women.
He ain't a pimp unless he has hoes.
Exactly. And if it's all on the bitch, like I said, it makes you a bitch made nigga. So that is your answer, the Willie Lynch letter. Now, Willie Lynch, in closing of the letter, he said there's two things that could make this shit come apart. Is universal law, where the universe balances everything out, or you educate your slaves. And I guess even though we're educated, I guess the indoctrination and the normalization of what is solidified. What could we do about it? Keep talking about it, but it's going to take I hate to say it, from the moment of the initial introduction, you have to double that time before it comes undone. It's going to be a while. What we're doing right now is so important. It's prolific because we are now in the century we're in. We're really unraveling the stuff that's been caked on to where we can start seeing the bottom of what it is. And it's going to encourage further generations to rip more of it away. And over time and over generations, all that shit is going to be stripped down, and we're going to have what we organically wanted to see from the jump. So I can say, and here's another thing too. This is something that we all need to incorporate with whatever we do, addressing toxic femininity and toxic masculinity, any and all things. What we must do, and this is the only thing I would say in regards to white America taking something from and adapting it to us, we have to understand that what we initiate, we're not going to live to see. White America initiated everything that's happening right now. White America initiated that shit 200 years ago. They just ensured that the people that filled the positions stayed to the fucking code and upheld the integrity and protected. So everything we doing, we also, like Lloyd said, we're building communities and we're putting people up. We need to be just a little bit more critical on individuals who are going to take that doctrine, because what they do is they write these things. That's why you have the secret societies and the handshakes and the codes, is because it is a decision to be dedicated to something that's going to transcend you, your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, and for the long range goal of whatever that end game is. So for us Black folks, unlearning and diffusing and normalizing, or unlearning and then reintroducing these things that's going to make us better, we're not going to see it in our lifetime. Our children might not see it in their lifetime. It might be fucking 40 to 50 years to where we start getting traction. And this is where our brains need to be. But what we're doing right now is actually what Willie Lynch did. We're actually writing down, and by way of digital, we're not writing letters no more, but with the digital format and us putting these things out on a digital platform, we're doing what Willie Lynch is doing. We're bringing this shit down, and we're coming up with things, and we're talking, and we're slowly moving pieces to build this bridge that our children are going to have to build, and their children are going to have to build until they get to the quote unquote the promised land. You know what I mean? So
right,
you can't lose sight of that, and that's with anything you do.
So
down to your individual self.
Real quick before we continue, I just want to address this real quick. I have a question. What shade of Black do we have to be to have respect? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to answer this first, just because, I'm the light bright. You have to respect yourself. If you respect yourself, you will command respect. Everybody on this panel respects my opinion as a Black woman, knowing that I am mixed, because I respect myself, I respect my opinion, and I know that I am Black. Nobody on this goddamn green earth can tell me that I'm not Black enough. Absolutely nobody. And I think it's important to remember that other people's opinions of us is none of our goddamn business. People can go ahead and think that we're not Black enough because we're light, or because we like different things, or because we're mixed, or whatever it is. They can go ahead and they can think that. All that matters at the end of the day is what you think. Lloyd, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I know Jesse wanted to go. I want to say this, and it's been said in pockets. I'm just going to go on record, be one of the first to say it on video. Y'all, this is a humanity thing. Everybody gets caught up on this, who's not Black enough and this and that. So I've seen where if a Black woman would go check a white girl who didn't do anything wrong, and if the white girl come back at her, the Black woman say, "You can't tell me that because I'm a Black woman." So the white girl is not, or the white woman is not supposed to defend herself. You see, that's where we get things twisted, where we start becoming the oppressor. We're not here to switch places with the oppressor. Okay? So when people say what shades are not enough, this has nothing to do with shades. It has to do with humanity and being respectful all the way around.
Facts.
Because I have Caucasian followers. All my children are mixed with Native and Spanish or Hispanic. And, they all just happen to come out dark like me. But for my daughter that's in there that isn't as dark as us, I'll be damned before someone tell her, you can't tone check me when she tells them right. Just because she's not dark enough.
That in and of itself isn't that in and of itself. I'm gonna say this. But the idea of who is and who isn't black enough based on shade or any fucking stereotype is white supremacy. It's indoctrinated white supremacy. If you sit there and you look at me and be like, bitch, you're not black enough because you're mixed, guess what? I still would have been a fucking slave.
But there's
remember early on we talked about my fears with Jean Grey, right? Remember, my wife is white. My daughters have black, half white. One of my fears is, what am I going to tell her, or how I'm going to explain her to handle these situations when someone who is black, my epidermis try to check her on her blackness. Because if you've not been paying attention on TikTok, people talking real reckless. This isn't, this is like, people are saying this shit to hurt your fucking feelings. They're not saying it with some type of angle to have you check or like, well, wait, maybe no. This is like on some old, invalidating half of your fucking existence. And old Eddie Brock, I'm old school. My fear is me saying, well, if anybody say some shit like that, punch him in the motherfucking mouth and say that's my black side telling me to get off where the fuck I'm mad at. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to go about that, because I see you, and to be honest with you, Jessica, I swore up and down I didn't know your mom was white. I just thought genes are arbitrary. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You could be black as black, and the epidermis department could be like,
still come out like
we're taking a 4-day. We ain't coming to work today, and you're just light. So I didn't know you were white. So I see, or half, I didn't say you're white, but your mom's white. Your dad's white. Coming into this society, because here's the funny thing: back in the 80s and mid 90s, y'all was in, I'll have like, she
not here,
good hair,
not here.
Is that the racial climate has changed to where now people hate white people so much. People hate white people so much that people who are half black, half white, because your parent is white, you're not even black. And that is why I say, when it comes to certain dialogue, there should be no talking. There should.
I think what it is,
don't you right in your motherfucking mouth, because when you normalize, hold on, let me finish. When you normalize this type of shit, it makes people get comfortable to eventually step to you on a physical level. Because if I denounce half of your fucking existence, or if I question your epidermis, once more people start getting into that shit, it'll be a matter of time before, you're not black enough, or you're excluded, to where people can be like, let's go put hands on it because the bitch talking shit and woo, 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 woo. And we need to curb that shit, because Lloyd said his children are half black, half Hispanic. He from Southern California. I know the population, you know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. In SoCal, you test a person's blackness, you're going to get whooped by black folks and Mexican folks, because they don't play that shit, because they accept it on both sides. You know what I'm saying? Especially if half your family essay, you already in the shit regardless. Your daddy black, but you vato over here. You know what I'm saying? So answering the person's question, about the shadiness of blackness, I would personally tell you, if any black person test your ethnicity or half of your genetic makeup, or make you choose to be a part of something, if you denounce something, punch him in the fucking mouth, because it's disrespectful. You don't talk to people like that. Because if a person is expecting you or to invalidate half of your genetic makeup, what the fuck you talking for? He just dissed your parents. You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't like white people. Your mama white, you black. but you ain't black enough. Oh, I'm not black enough.
I got that all the time growing up because I'm an adoptee.
Because you went to PWIs.
Huh?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna break this down. If you want to sit there and say that we are the blueprint, that black women are the blueprint, the Eve gene, you would understand that we come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors and hair textures. You would understand that shit. But if you want to sit there and I'm worried about the liberation of black people and you worrying about my fucking skin tone, bitch, I'm going to tell you, I know two things for certain and one thing for sure. We ain't on the same motherfucking level. Because I'm sitting here worrying about breaking down all forms of oppression by any means fucking necessary. And you sitting here worrying about how fucking light I am. And that is white supremacy. And that goes back all the way to the days of slavery between the house slaves and the field slaves.
That's why
because
I said,
everybody thought there was this connotation that house slaves had it better. And that's not the truth of it.
Yeah. They had it worse.
Was the house slaves. The house slaves, quote unquote, look better, but that's because the house slaves were getting raped. The house slaves were had to be in front of company.
This is where me and T. Nathan, see eye to eye on this shit. I'm all about extreme message sending. If I can tell that later on down the line, you're going to get complacent based on your conversation to take physical action on me, I'm going to knock your ass out every time I see you. Because guess what? While you're trying to knock down doors and do your due diligence to fight for the liberation of black folks, it's going to be black folks who are going to try to take you down because they feel you're not black enough and you're doing more work than them. So instead of trying to talk with them, you chop their head off. You know what I'm saying? So I'm an extreme person when it comes to that. And T. Nathan is the same way. He's about that shit. Like when he says that, I feel that conviction because I'm the same way. You know what I'm saying? You got people out here talking about you only can be pro-black if you denounce your white mother. Take his head off. Because guess what? While you're fighting and liberating for black folks, he's not going to like that. She's not going to like that. And they're going to try to do something to fuck you over. So you know what you do? Remember when I told you, you plan out? You plan out. Because see, when you plan out, most people don't plan long. They plan in short increments. When you long plan, you include the possibilities of those who aren't in your favor. Everyone right now is talking. Look at racism as a whole. How did racism come about? Talking. You get black Africans. They're subhumans. Ew. Everyone's ew. They're not human. Ew. They're subjected to this verbal disrespect. And then after a while, when the empathy is taken away, when the humanity is taken away, when you've been officially verbal just destroyed, then that's when they can get physical because there is no connection to you. And it all started from talking. And everything that everyone is doing to this very day is a blueprint of what white supremacists was doing. That's why I say, if anybody denounces who the fuck you are in regards to your genetic makeup, being half black, half white, half black, or anything, and they're black, they're not. They will never be a part of the team. Because those are going to be the ones that are going. Hey, wars are fought on different fronts. People haven't been to war. When you've been to war, you got to worry about your enemy and sympathizers. You feel me? Sympathizers. Those external factors, the people who don't want to include you because of who you splice with, those are the sympathizers. And those are the worst ones because they're never going to actively engage in a motherfucking thing. But every once in a while, they'll shoot up, pew, and then hide. When you see them, you mash them out. Because what that does is it shows your enemy that we are now organized to recognize who's in our best interest. And if it's our same fucking skin color, that's when your enemy knows, oh shit. Because they're not just doing it for shits and giggles. They doing it because they know they're a threat to their overall progression. And they're not afraid to whack their ass. And now we got to worry about, now they're serious. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it comes down to. So going back to everything, when it comes to people who are mixed with black in anything, if any black person tries to denounce your blackness, take their fucking head off. Because you want to send a message to anyone else that opened up their mouth like, you say that shit if you want to. There's going to be consequences. And this goes back to our overall conversation before we went live. When I said, you know, we are all influencers and we're all on social media. This is why Eddie Brock isn't engaging in the drama no more, because we've sat back and we've watched all this drama. It's been all talking and nothing has been implemented to raise the bar on standard. I'm not going to sit up here and cut 4, 5, 6 promos on the motherfucker. We've been there, done that. If I have people following me, my obligation is for them to see, what can I teach them? What can they learn from me? Are they going to learn to do the same shit I'm doing? Or are they going to be like, yo, this motherfucker handled this shit? So we have to always be aware of what we're doing, what we're saying. Most importantly, what are we implementing that is going to raise the bar on how things get done? And I honestly feel, based on my Army time, my street time, and just being fair and impartial, and no longer being compelled as a black man to play the position of a fucking philosophical quarterback and give passes. Nah, man. Because we have to start having these tough conversations. Like when we're talking about liberation of black folks and progression, Harriet Tubman will shoot you in the fucking face.
Period.
Black, she will pop your ass. Because we are so beaten to the point where we need to be accepted that we're willing to tolerate toxicity just so we can feel wanted. And this ties into toxicity because depending on where we're at, Boosie hired a grown woman to suck off his 14-year-old boy and his nephews under the vice of teaching them what it is to be a fucking man. Now,
but want to talk shit about Lil Nas X.
And here's my thing. People don't even want to talk about that because they look at him as a successful black man who made it out the hood. So yeah, so basically being gay is worse than statutory rape, apparently. You know what I mean? And these are the type of people who put these people in the pedestal. Those are the people who are detrimental to the overall progression, because those are the ones who will be like, oh, I didn't see shit. Yeah, you know what's up. You know what's up. We have to start coming to the conclusion that fuck the saying of all skin folk ain't kinfolk. It's getting to the point now where you're going to have to start introducing something to social media that shows proactive shit. Fuck the promos, fuck the back and forth. You got a problem with me, I'm at your front door. Because people who are following me need to see what's going to happen. How else is white America going to see what the ramifications is of saying the N-word if we're going back and forth talking about don't say but. Motherfucker, this is where we at right now. You need to step it up. And that's all I got. I know that's going a little bit too far, but I'm just saying, you know, it's getting to the point where talking is redundant. It's promos. And most importantly, we're doing this shit for free. If we can't interject something that shows proactiveness and something that's going to take the bar and bring it up here, then all we're going to be doing is the same shit 20 years from now. Talking. And speaking of talking, I've talked too much, and I thank you guys for listening. So what else to take?
You know what? It's for me. I can only say, and everybody that knows me know that what I do is not for me. My work I do in my community is not for me. It's for those that's coming behind me, because I'm not going to see the fruits of my labor. But I am making sure that my grandkids, majority of whom are mixed, won't have to go through what a Jessica went through, or a Daewoo went through, or a Jessie Lee went through. Because you know what? I want to leave my print as a woman, that I'm not looking at you as your skin color, light, dark colorism thing. I'm looking at you as your content, how you're presenting yourself, who do you represent? What do you stand for? Because at the end of the day, Black is the most beautiful thing that you can be, because we come in an array of colors. And it doesn't make me any less Black if I'm lighter than caramel syrup. You know what I'm saying? If I'm lighter than that, it doesn't make me any less Black. What makes me less is when I start seeing someone else as less than I am. That's where we make our mistakes. When we start putting everybody else down to be who we are, that's where the problem comes in. Because Jess, white mother, but you know what? She identifies as Black. I can only take her for what she is. I cannot go into her gene pool, into her DNA pool, and start pulling out what I want her to be. It matters the difference. It's about what she stands for and how she stands in it for me. Now, there are other people that are mixed that don't identify with their other side or whatever, but it's not my job to check anybody on how they identify. It's my job to be that Black woman that can teach another young Black girl to be a Black lady. I don't like to say woman when I'm talking about to be a Black young lady. I want to say this, and then I got to get back to work tomorrow, so my life is, this TikTok stuff is coming to an end. But we're all getting back. The pandemic is lifting, so people are getting back to their normal everyday work habits. So a lot of this TikTok drama for the last 2 years has been because people were enclosed in their house. But when you're getting back out into the real world, I do this in real life. I go to my job tomorrow. Guess what? I'm probably going to be the only Black counselor there tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So I have to understand that I'm doing what I do so that the next little Black girl coming behind me doesn't have to be the only Black counselor or therapist that someone else can look to identify with, to be able to get things off of their chest. Last thing I want to say is, as far as, and I'm going to say it this one time to Nathan D. Select, as far as the word bitch, we need to throw that out of the vocabulary. As far as the word nigga, we need to throw that out of our vocabulary, because what we normalize between each other is what the rest of the society sees. Because everybody knows I fought like hell not to be called a nigga. And I'd be damned if I'm going to allow any human being to call me that now at this age, when I beat people Black and blue not to be called that. And I'm not that old. I lived through segregation, integration. So I see it as disrespectful, when somebody is just tossing that word up, that I fought my butt off to make sure that I wasn't called that. So we're living in different times, but it does not negate what I went through, and it does not negate what my 98-year-old mother went through. So we have to remember that in our younger selves, that we have to find something that we can respect about somebody and hold on to it, and then find that same self-respect for ourselves. Because as long as I'm calling myself a bitch, I'm a bitch. And I'm going to tell you flat out, from coming up, I had an aunt who was a madam, and she said, I'd rather be called a hoe than a bitch any day, because a hoe getting paid. So that's the kind of things that I had to unlearn, because I'm neither one of those. I'm my name. I'm not a female dog. I'm not N-word, because I'm not ignorant, So we have to start choosing our words better. We have to start presenting ourselves, not physically, I'm talking about presenting ourselves. We have all this knowledge, but we throw it all out the window in 5 minutes by cussing somebody out and throwing them under the bus. So I don't know. I think that this conversation is great. It's a conversation that y'all probably gonna be having long after I'm dead. But yeah, real talk. It's just time that we bond together, all of us on this platform. I think we all each one of us are in a different decade in our lives. Might be 20, 30, 40. Eddie, you young too. But we can all learn from each other.
Yeah, me and Eddie together.
If I can say anything to my younger panel members is, you know what? Start respecting yourself, because if you don't respect yourself, I don't expect anybody to respect you. So to the person that asked, how black do you have to be? You are as black as you want to be. You don't let anybody dictate to you who you are and how black you are to be able to say anything. So for
If you
me,
can't
guys,
love yourself, how in the hell you gonna love somebody else?
Exactly.
Jesse, you want to say something real quick?
Yeah, I do. Real quick. I'll try to keep this quick because I know many of us need to go to bed, including me, 'cause I'm a little baby.
Dang.
But from my perspective, mine is a little bit different. You know, yeah, I'm black, duh. But I was raised in with white parents, and all of my life growing up, I was viewed as not black enough. Not just by the black community, but also by my white peers, by everybody. I was not viewed as black enough because by the black community because of y'all hear how I speak, because of the way that I speak, because of the culture that I grew up in, because of the neighborhood, the house, everything, and the massive differences. And I was also viewed as not black enough by my white peers in the white community because I didn't act stereotypically how they perceived black people to be. So
you were the whitest black person they
I was
knew.
the Oreo. I was called an Oreo by everybody.
Yep.
And from that perspective, because also one of the biggest failures that my parents did, and we've talked about it, so I'm not throwing under the bus. I said the one thing that I wish that they had for me and that they really amplified for me was to have cultural mirrors, because I didn't grow up around any black people. No black people were in my neighborhood. No, I had barely had any black friends growing up. And so I was kind of comic relief for some black people, because they're like, look at this black girl. She can speak in a British accent and she goes on stage and she does all these things that, things like that. But whenever the one day, I'll never forget it. The one day I came and I told a bunch of white people that were making fun of black culture, I said, hey, that's kind of messed up. They're like, well, it shouldn't offend you. It shouldn't offend you. It's just a joke. Jesse, we're just playing. They never, I was surrounded by microaggressions my entire life, microaggressions, white people. And the same thing, David, when you were talking about how you fought your whole life not to be called a nigger, I was around people who, no matter what, that word has always been used negatively. That is the only way I have ever seen that word, is by white people justifying the use of that word or by calling me directly a nigger. And so my opinion is, yeah, I understand that it has gone through a redefining and a reclamation. However, for me personally, it is not something that has ever been positive in my life. So, to me, I'm just like, whatever it is, whatever the black community has decided for it to be, that's free. However, for Jesse Lee, it has never been a good thing for me. And what I wish could get better is that people need to stop judging people's blackness like that. Because at the end of the day, while Jesse did grow up and did benefit from white privilege, what you don't know is that I spent time in my grandmother's house, and my grandmother modeled that house out off of a slave plantation home with columns, help entrances, everything, back doors into the dining room, into the actual house. I lived there. I walked through that. There were antiques. There were things from Jim Crow in that house. I had relatives that were constantly touching my hair and telling me to sing and to dance and to play basketball and to do all of the things that they saw only black people could benefit from and succeed in. So, and I was like, and guess what? Having white parents didn't stop a cop from pulling me over. About 2 weeks after Sandra Bland was murdered by a cop, when I had a cigarette in my hand, didn't stop him from pulling me over and almost pulling a gun on me because he thought I stole my car. So at the end of the day, whether you are biracial or you are black and you have white parents, your experience on this earth is a black experience. point blank period. And no one can invalidate for you. Doesn't matter where you grew up, doesn't matter how you speak, doesn't matter who raised you. Your experience is a Black experience, point blank period. So that's all I have to say.
Facts. And I appreciate you saying that. I feel the exact same way, and I think it's important when people like you and I, where we are activists, we are secure in our Blackness, when we speak about these things, because we have, there are people who watch our platforms that may not be so sure, or that may be struggling with the same thing that we may have struggled with at one point in our time, in our lives, or just entirely unsure of themselves. I think it's very important for you and I to get that out in the open. And I also think it's very, very important for people like Eddie, for Lloyd, Daewoo, for them to also speak on the fact that nobody can discredit or invalidate our Blackness. That's only something that we can do to ourselves. I think that's extremely important for people to understand. Y'all, I know we went all around the globe tonight, but I think this conversation was amazing. I just want to real quick do a mental health check-in. I ask every episode, but Eddie went ahead and put me on game last time, so I'm not going to ask you to rate it from 1 to 10. I'm just going to ask, are you doing okay? And and I want everybody to remember that it is okay to not be okay. And if there's anything that I can do to help, or if you need help reaching out, please feel free to let me know. This space right here is a safe zone. So who want to go first? How y'all doing tonight?
I'll go first because I got to jump
so I
off.
can be last. All is well. Like I said, I go back to work tomorrow, and I dive right back into counseling. And I know that to be a good counselor, I have to have counseling. So mentally, I'm in check, and that's why I'm able to go back to work, because I have been down. I have not been to work due to life circumstances in my household. So yeah, I'm healthy mentally, I'm healthy physically, and I'm healthy emotionally. And I thank you, Jesse, for allowing me to come on to your platform and share just a little bit of this few decades I've been on this earth. And I'd like to see more conversations where we all can get different generations and just vibe out and learn from each other.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming by, Queen Mother, dropping all the knowledge on tonight. Who want to go next? I think Eddie, Lloyd.
I said I wanted to go because I got to jump off. I've been on.
Okay.
I got to roll.
All of us got to jump off. We got to go to hell to bed.
I'm doing good. I'm doing straight. Had surgery, healing up. I sort of went into a little lessly illuminated place because, hell, I couldn't go to the gym. I was in pain, had surgery, wanted to lose weight, probably put on some pounds because I just went to shit with my diet. But I'm better. I'm back in the gym. I'm doing good. And that's it. I'm fine. Thumbs up. Plus I have my medicine. So
yes.
I'm rather fine and dandy. With that being said, thank you for having me on. Thank you very much. I love every last one of y'all. We all good. It's all love. If you're going to do part 3, I'm on deck. I'll be on standby like a flight delay. If you need me at any given time, jump on your podcast, YouTube, Jesse, Lloyd, Mom Dukes. I love you. You need me for anything, you got my number. Stay in touch. Like
I'm not Mom Dukes.
Mom Dukes, call your mom.
He hot because he thought he didn't remember that this is part 3, and he calls you Mama Duke.
So moms, I just call you moms. But if you need me, I'm here. You got my number. Thank you for having me on. Like a fly ball in left field, I'm out. All right, peace.
Thank you so much for coming back on.
All right, peace.
All right, Lloyd, how you doing?
I'm tired.
I think all our old asses is tired.
No. I'm not just talking about physically. physically I can handle. I'm just tired. You know, just a lot going on after I traveled and everything. I was just tired. And I hate putting up a facade. That's one thing that you'll know about me. I don't like, I never put up a facade. So I can just say I'm tired. Not really with work, just other things outside of work, outside of the apps. I'm just tired, and I just need to rest. I just wish, you didn't have things didn't have to try so hard. Everything could just be even kill, and everything just came natural. And when it's not, you try so hard to make things work this way, make things work that way, and I don't know, you're just tired. And sometimes you just want to just drop the weight, because you live so much, you do so much in every aspect of your life. And man, sometimes you just get tired. Have you ever lifted weights and just got the muscle failure? And that's how you feel sometimes when you do everything. And so sometimes you get tired, and that's just where I'm at, just tired. I wish I'd utilize my week off a lot better than I did when I had my week off. I wish I'd
As
just
a counselor, a good counselor need counseling. So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah, I know. I just wish I would have just stowed away and went somewhere where it's just me. I ain't got to worry about lifting no heavy weight. That's all.
I understand. I appreciate you being so candid with us, because that is something that we all go through. There's times where sometimes we feel like Atlas, the world is on our shoulders, and we're just fucking tired. So I appreciate you being honest and letting everybody know, like, hey, I'm here, I'm present, but I'm fucking tired. And it's okay. And if there's any way that I can help or anything like that, please feel free to reach out. I mean, we're mutuals on TikTok, Instagram. You can get my number from Eddie. And that goes for everybody. If you want my phone number, go ahead, get it from either Eddie, Jesse, Daewoo. I just realized Lloyd, the only one that don't got my phone number. But honestly, I want y'all to know that if you come on here, I don't just see you as a panelist. I see you as a friend. I see you as somebody who can come to me and if you need to vent. If you need advice, ask. Closed mouths don't get fed, but I will always be here. So I appreciate you being so honest with us about being tired.
Is it my turn? I guess. Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm feeling all right. The weather's changing, so it's harder for me to get out of bed. And then I'm kind of like run down because it's dark now when I leave work. So we're just in that season now where I'm just kind of like, meh. Other stuff, big shit, going in deep. Around this time of year, I get really emotional. 8 years ago, sorry, 8 years ago, I was raped, and I got pregnant from it. And around this time, 8 years ago, I had to make the most difficult decision of my life. It was the best decision because I'm still here. But it's a hard time of year. And I know I made the best choice for my life. Because had I not had the ability to choose, I would not be here. But not a day goes by or a year goes by where I don't think about it or it doesn't affect me. But it gets rough around this time of year. So, it's hard. The pain doesn't go away. It never goes away. but it just gets even after 8 years, it still gets riled up around this time. So I'm just kind of processing it and remembering that I did the best thing for me. I didn't do it for anybody else. I did it for me, and I know I made the right choice, and I believe that with my full chest, my full heart. But yeah, so it's just been rough. So that's why I've, even though I've been making content, it hasn't been the same standard Jesse, even though Jesse's kind of a jack of all trades and I do a little bit of everything. It's been less of the intense shit, and it's been kind of lighthearted fun. I've been singing a little bit more because I'm, sometimes I just get a little uninspired and I'm just kind of the same thing of just being tired and walking the line of burnout. And so, so it's been a time. So sorry to go so hard right now.
Oh no, please don't apologize. Please don't apologize.
Don't apologize. Yeah.
This is your truth. This is your experience. And don't ever be ashamed about it at all. And you got my number. And you getting added to the favorites list, so that way if you need me to here, I might look. You can ask Lloyd if I find out that you're out walking while it's still dark out. I might be like, "What the fuck is you doing? It's too early for this shit." But I'm gonna still be there for you. And again, I am so proud of everyone on here for being entirely honest about how they're doing. And I want to sincerely thank all of y'all, because y'all are not only dealing with TikTok shit, you're dealing with real life shit. And a lot of people forget that. And for you to take time out of your evening to go ahead and set all of that aside and have this conversation, even though you're tired or emotional or you have to go back to work or whatever that's going on, I truly, truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart that y'all still came on, had this conversation, and that y'all are being so honest right now with everybody. It's inspiring, because I'm not going to lie, that is something that I struggle with, is admitting when I'm not okay. So y'all are teaching me something tonight. And I feel like this group that's been gathered tonight, I believe it was for a reason. Maybe that reason was to teach me something. Maybe it was to teach, whoever's watching something, y'all something. I don't know. But I just want to say I love the hell out of y'all. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to close this out real quick. And then you already know how it works. I'm going to talk probably for 2 minutes backstage. Probably 2 minutes because we tired. But yeah, yes, Lloyd, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes where I'm going to give you my address so you can just start sending me books, because you keep giving me too many to read. But hold on, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and end this live. But I want to thank y'all for coming on. Y'all, tonight was amazing. It was heavy. We laughed. We cried. We screamed. We did everything in between. But I think this conversation was incredibly important. It was incredibly fruitful. And if you didn't learn something, and if you didn't start taking a look inward after this conversation, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but I seriously suggest you go ahead and play that motherfucker back and rewatch it, because so many things have been said. There is absolutely no way that you didn't learn anything while watching this live. Y'all make sure to have a good night. Drink your water, mind your business, and don't be a dick.